The most powerful woman in the city drops to her knees, trembling with fear. Dozens of henchmen are crushed to the ground in seconds, and a simple phone screen reveals a staggering balance of 10 billion. But just yesterday, the same guy was treated like trash. A humiliated delivery driver who caught his wife in the act, with an arrogant rich man at a hotel, forced to kneel for spare change, and thrown out like a stray dog by his own family. They had no idea. These 3 years of extreme humiliation were just a test, and the test is finally over. The lowly delivery driver zips up his jacket, revealing his true status as a supreme billionaire CEO. Now, anyone who raises a hand to him gets dropped. Anyone who tries to fire him loses everything. $10 million gifts are just pocket change. His cheating ex-wife will break down in regret, while the corporate goddess surrenders at his feet. They provoked the wrong monster. The absolute revenge of President Yi Chen begins. It all starts in a luxury hotel. A woman's bare foot steps onto the floor. She heads into the bathroom to take a shower. Suddenly, someone grabs her clothes. A man steps up saying he will finally get what he wants, but a sudden knock on the door interrupts him. The handle turns. Our protagonist announces that the delivery has arrived. He steps right into a terrible scene. Hastily covering her body, his wife asks what he is doing there. He freezes, letting the food drop to the floor. The long-haired man yells, calling him useless. The weight of the betrayal hangs heavy in the air. Laughing in his face, the rich man tells him to get lost. His fists clench. After years of doing everything for her without a shred of respect, he asks how she could be with someone else. Her response is cold. She tells him he is just a delivery boy. Bragging, the rich man claims to own $1 billion company. She agrees, claiming that only someone with that kind of wealth is worthy. They order our protagonist to kneel if he wants a 5-star rating on the app. Looking right at them, he asks if they really think money buys everything. Ignoring him entirely, the man tries to kiss her right there, but our protagonist grabs his neck, making the man scream. The wife steps in to defend her lover, demanding he let go immediately. She threatens to call security and tells him to get out. As he walks away, he promises she will regret this. He pulls out the engagement paper, a marriage arranged by his grandfather. Their first date was supposed to be the start of a happy life, but now it is clear that it was all an illusion. With years completely wasted, he vows that payback is coming. He walks away, completely exhausted from the constant humiliation. Just then, his phone starts ringing non-stop. He answers the call, switching back to his delivery boy persona. The voice on the other end announces that his 3-year training is finally over. He receives the news that he is now the president of a massive conglomerate. His ex-wife's actions confirm she is no longer worthy of his time. Revving his motorcycle, our protagonist leaves the past behind. Arriving at her house, he confronts her directly. He demands an explanation for the betrayal, refusing to let it go. But she throws her right back, telling him he lives off her charity and needs to keep his mouth shut. He slams his hands on the table. After 3 years of being a punching bag, he is completely done. He makes it clear he won't tolerate this for another second. He demands a divorce, taking a final stand. The woman stands frozen, calling him completely crazy. He fires back, stating he no longer needs this life. Accepting his terms in a fit of rage, she claims he will come crawling back. They agree to meet at the registry office first thing in the morning to finalize it, but she tries to delay it using her grandmother's birthday party as an excuse. Agreeing to wait for her call, he turns his back on her, screaming insults at him. She swears he will regret this decision. Meanwhile, a voice on the phone informs him that his car is waiting just down the street. He stands in the rain as a high-end luxury car pulls up. The door opens, and the security guards treat him like an absolute boss. He refuses an umbrella, letting the heavy rain wash over him. He slicks his hair back, ready to finally take his true place in the world. Slipping on a tailored coat, he prepares to claim his throne. The game has officially changed. A massive fleet of luxury cars brings the entire street to a halt. The entire neighborhood watches through their windows, stunned by the display of power. Even his ex-wife peeks outside, desperate to know who this mysterious billionaire is. His subordinates adjust their glasses, ready for orders. Having inherited his family's vast fortune, our protagonist now controls billions. He walks toward a private helicopter, treated like pure royalty. High in the air, the intense training he endured since he was 3 years old is finally complete. The elder's ultimate test has finally come to an end. His grandfather had forced him to live as a lowly delivery boy for 3 years as a trial. He followed every strict rule without a single complaint. He closes his eyes, putting a definitive end to all the humiliation, and returns to the city to take control. Meanwhile, at the grandmother's party, his ex-wife's family puts their hypocrisy on full display. The old woman complains about her son-in-law's absence, taking every chance to insult him, trying to cover it up. His ex says he must still be at work. The rest of the relatives burst into laughter, mocking our protagonist's job. They joke that he needs to come back just to clean up after the dog. but his wife drops a bomb, announcing that they are getting a divorce. The grandmother immediately yells, demanding to know who gave them permission to do that. Lying straight to her face, the woman claims our protagonist found someone else. They call him an ungrateful traitor for cheating after they provided him with a house and car. Adding fuel to the fire, the cousin makes a joke out of the whole situation. Losing her temper, the old woman orders them to drag him over so they can teach him a lesson. Grabbing her phone, the ex calls him to deliver the order. His phone rings, and he answers the call. He asks what she wants, completely out of patience. She demands he show up in front of the grandmother right away, but our protagonist simply hangs up on her. She tells the family that he refused to show up. Out for blood, the cousin offers to drag him there by force. The ex-wife is left standing there, completely humiliated by his absolute disregard. The grandmother then gathers everyone around, announcing she has serious news to share. She brings up the new president of the conglomerate, a man who remains a complete mystery. She begins planning their future, desperate to get close to this new billionaire at all costs. Walking into his new office, our protagonist is greeted by the staff. His right-hand man questions why he is still wearing his delivery uniform, but he decides to keep the disguise as it is the final day of his delivery contract. The scene cuts to the ex's cousin speeding down the road in a sports car to hunt him down. He promises to deal with him quickly and painfully. Slamming on his brakes out of nowhere, our protagonist is nearly run over by the playboy. The cousin orders him to get into the car right now, trying to intimidate him, but our protagonist fires back, stating that not even the old woman begging on her knees could stop this divorce. He questions what right the old woman has to punish him. The cousin yells that he betrayed the family and must pay heavily. Calmly removing his helmet, our protagonist asks if his ex made that up. He holds back a laugh. A chuckle slips out at the sheer delusion of this family. He warns them that his patience has a limit. The playboy freezes, completely thrown off by the sudden change in his demeanor. Rejecting the banquet invitation, he turns to walk away. Stepping out of the car, the cousin threatens to teach him a lesson. He lunges forward with everything he has. Our protagonist answers with a solid kick right to the playboy's face. Desperate, the rich kid pulls out a pocket knife. He swings wildly, trying to land a hit. Grabbing his wrist, our protagonist shuts the attack down effortlessly. A clean punch sends the cousin flying backward. He makes it crystal clear that he is no longer the family's lapdog. His days of taking orders are officially over. Sprawled on the ground, the cousin mutters a threat of revenge. Meanwhile, back at the hotel, the matriarch steps out to the front of the building. Her grandson's car pulls up at a crawl. Whining to his grandmother, the playboy puts on an exaggerated show. He claims the useless delivery boy attacked him. Furious, his father demands that our protagonist pay for this. He asks if they should just call the police right away. Rejecting the idea to protect the family name, the grandmother takes control. Making a few shady calls, the father hires some local thugs for the job. Waiting in the apartment stairwell, the hired muscle sets up an ambush, ordering him to come quietly or else the massive men circle him. Faced with the underworld trap, our protagonist doesn't even blink. Without hesitation, the men charge at him. Within seconds, the stairwell echoes with the gang's screams of pain. Dusting off his hands, his only concern is whether the delivery is still intact. One of the thugs struggles to his feet for a second attempt. Moving like lightning, he lands a brutal punch right to the guy's face. He picks the package off the floor, his focus entirely on the job. He lets out a relieved sigh, glad the food is completely unharmed. He heads off to his final delivery, eager to finish his shift. Back at the luxury hotel, his father-in-law reports that the thugs were completely humiliated. The mother-in-law's jaw drops, refusing to believe the useless boy knows how to fight. Screaming in frustration, the grandmother asks if anyone can actually stop him. Changing the subject, the father-in-law introduces the regional delivery boss. Whispering to the grandmother, the playboy's father claims to have a brilliant idea. Handing over an incredibly expensive wine, the delivery boss flatters the matriarch. Accepting it with a forced smile, the old woman hides her boiling anger. The father-in-law then brings up his useless son-in-law, setting the plan in motion. Lying through his teeth, he claims the boy was unfaithful and assaulted his grandson. Shocked, the boss asks how a lowly delivery boy would dare do such a thing. Confirming the boy is his employee, the suit decides to step in. He tells him to leave it to him, eager to prove his worth to the wealthy family. Calling dispatch, he has them track Ye Chen's number and request an immediate delivery. 15 minutes later, our protagonist arrives at the hotel with his delivery bag. As he takes off his helmet, Mr. Ma announces the delivery and orders him inside, demanding he bring the food in. The father-in-law sets the stage for a public humiliation, but our protagonist states that delivery drivers stay outside, asking them to take it at the door. The man insists on the track trap, ordering him to step inside immediately. He points out that the door's already open. Stepping inside, the ambush becomes obvious. The Wang family is standing right next to his boss. Mr. Makum immediately marches up to him. He orders him to strip off his uniform and hand over his badge, firing him on the spot. Frowning, our protagonist asks the reason for all this theater. Calling him an idiot, the cousin boasts that Mr. Ma is the top boss of the region. Adding to the humiliation, the father-in-law pulls out his phone, pretending to talk to the manager. Playing along, Mr. Ma confirms that Yi Chen is officially out of a job. He demands he remove the company uniform right in front of everyone. He takes off the uniform with pure contempt, clearly entirely unbothered about losing the job. Laughing in his face, the cousin calls him a homeless stray. He drops the company shirt to the floor without a second thought. The men mockingly doubt he will ever amount to anything better in life, but our protagonist casually mentions that the company's city contract is about to expire anyway. Sneering, his ex-boss says a nobody like him will never have the power to effect that. The matriarch finally loses her patience, screaming at him to kneel, accusing him of betrayal and assault. The old woman demands a severe punishment. He simply asks why on earth he should kneel to her. She brings up an old promise, reminding him he once agreed to face any punishment if he stepped out of line. Stating that his word is absolute, he accepts the challenge, but refuses to bow down. The father-in-law orders them to bring out the dragon ruler to scar his son-in-law. A luxurious box is opened, revealing the family's traditional weapon of punishment. The family openly gloats, explaining that the wooden ruler leaves deep marks for days. Getting the final order, the grandmother commands them to strike his face 20 times. Grabbing the ruler, the brother-in-law steps up, eager to play executioner, but his ex-wife interrupts, her voice dripping with hate as she demands to do it herself. Gripping the heavy wood, she winds up to strike. Staring coldly right back at her, he dares her to swing. He asks if she really has the nerve, his intense glare making her hesitate. Covering up her fear, she claims that as his wife, she holds the sole right to punish him, but the cousin snatches the ruler away, throwing every insult in the book at him. He swings hard, aiming straight for his face, but our protagonist catches the playboy's hand with absolute ease. He fires back with a punch that drops the rich kid right in front of the entire room. The entire room of guests is left completely speechless. The matriarch completely loses it, screaming that she will have him thrown in jail. Completely unfazed, he states that it was just self-defense. His father-in-law tries to take the moral high ground, asking if a real man would act this way. But our protagonist shoots that down, stating he will only accept punishment if he actually did something wrong. The old woman doubles down, accusing him again of betrayal and attacking her grandson. That is when he drops the bomb, revealing his ex was in a hotel room with another man. Whispers immediately erupt among the guests, her supposed innocence completely shattered. Desperate, his ex screams that it is a lie, claiming they were just meeting for business. He destroys her excuse instantly, asking if she really needed a private hotel room just to talk business. Right then, the preppy Feng Xiao steps into the hall. Playing dumb, the wealthy playboy asks what is going on. The ex-wife begs him to tell the truth about their meeting and clear her name. Lying straight to their faces, the rich heir claims she was only there to deliver some documents. He even accuses Yi Chen of being a liar with zero proof. He says Yi Chen is just trying to drag his wife down out of jealousy, completely winning over the matriarch. He then reveals he left a 1-star review for Yi Chen on the delivery app. Showing his phone, he proves he is the reason Yi Chen got fired. The former boss cracks a smile, confirming the bad review was for a poor attitude. The guests immediately go back to glaring at Yi Chen. Pushing the humiliation further, the rival demands an explanation for the dropped food. He crosses his arms, stating that Yi Chen clearly cannot handle the pressure of a real job. Yi Chen laughs at their sheer shamelessness. There is no turning back now. The matriarch demands silence and asks if he has any actual proof of the cheating. A heavy silence fills the room for a few seconds. The old woman quickly brushes it off to focus on what matters, the divorce. Yi Chen stands his ground, stating there is camera footage proving he acted in self-defense. The matriarch yells that no one cares about that. She just wants him gone. He makes his final offer, promising to disappear if they just leave him alone. He demands an immediate divorce so he will not have to get the police involved. Calling the marriage her late husband's biggest mistake, the matriarch accepts right away. The relatives immediately celebrate the relief of shedding this dead weight. They agree that the granddaughter deserves someone from high society. They officially kick Yi Chen out of the family with absolutely nothing to his name. The excited father-in-law waves a waiter over for drinks to celebrate. He proposes a toast to his daughter's new life alongside a respectable man. The ex-wife gets showered with praise by her mother for hooking a wealthy heir. The mother-in-law even brags that her daughter is still completely untouched after 3 years of marriage. Watching the scene with a smirk, a massive weight lifts off Yi Chen's shoulders. He raises his wine glass, preparing for a final toast. He wishes his ex-wife luck in finding someone truly on her level. The ex-wife tries to act superior, demanding he fall to his knees and beg for her forgiveness. Laughing at the sheer absurdity, he asks if she genuinely thinks he would stoop that low. He lifts his glass without blinking and pours the entire glass of wine straight onto the floor. Furious, she screams that he has completely lost his mind. The audacity of wasting the drink leaves the room outraged. Pointing to his swollen face, the cousin declares that simply getting a divorce is letting him off too easy. The matriarch firmly states she will not let this insult slide. She calls on the wealthy guest to cut off Ye Chen's livelihood across the entire city. The guests whisper among themselves, debating if it is worth getting involved in the drama. Feng Zhao quickly steps up, permanently banning him from every hotel in the area. Eager to see him crawl, the arrogant heir swears he will be the one marrying Ye Chen's ex. A restaurant owner joins in, completely blacklisting him from all local dining spots. His former boss promises he will never work a delivery job again. Staring the crowd down, Ye Chen smirks and asks if anyone else wants a turn. One last businessman steps forward, banning him from every bar in the district. The cousin laughs, suggesting he should try his luck as a security guard since he clearly knows how to throw a punch. The entire room agrees that no one in the city would ever dare cross their elite circle. They burst out laughing, absolutely certain they have just ruined Ye Chen's life. Out of nowhere, a stunning woman enters the venue. The father-in-law trembles, quickly apologizing for not welcoming her properly. Trying to suck up to her, the Wangs introduce the famous vice president of the Huasheng group. She is known to everyone as the absolute goddess of the business world. President Qin's authority in the city is vast and merciless. Acting like royalty, she ignores the sycophants and focuses on only one person. She studies Ye Chen's face with deep curiosity. She has found exactly who she was looking for. The father-in-law chimes in, stating she is the only one connected to the true elite of Yongcheng. Awaiting her commands, the businessmen loudly agree that she runs the entire city. He quickly apologizes for speaking out of turn. Many whisper that someone this beautiful must have used shady tactics to reach the top. Begging her to cut off Ye Chen's livelihood, the Wangs push for the final blow. Completely ignoring their absurd request, President Qin pulls an object from her bag. She pulls out a cigarette, her intentions remaining a total mystery. Instantly, a dozen desperate men rush forward, offering to light it for her. Brushing past the dozens of offered lighters, she locks eyes entirely on Ye Chen. With a seductive gesture, she calls him closer. The entire room holds its breath, wondering what this powerful woman wants with him. To everyone's shock, the president orders him to light her cigarette. The businessmen are left utterly baffled as to why she chose the trash for this honor. Simply stating he does not have a lighter, Ye Chen turns the goddess down. The wealthy guests erupt in anger, screaming for him to obey her immediately. Standing up calmly, the woman steps even closer to Ye Chen. Ignoring his bluntness, she asks for his name. Ye Chen fires back, asking if she is deaf and missed the Wang family screaming his name. She raises a hand, ordering her personal lackey to stay quiet. She offers him a way out, simply because he shares a surname with the new boss of the Huasheng group. She offers him a position as her personal bodyguard, a very difficult deal to refuse. The girls in the crowd whisper that she must be interested in him. The ex-wife glares in fierce jealousy. What could a woman of that status possibly want with Ye Chen? A businessman steps forward, asking if the big boss is also named Ye. She confirms it, but warns that the new boss prefers to keep his identity a strict secret. It is clear she has no idea who Ye Chen really is. Playing along, he asks what this escape route entails. Imposing her condition, the goddess states he only needs to drop to his knees and apologize. In exchange, she promises him a bodyguard salary of 200,000 a year. The ex-wife glares suspiciously. The powerful woman has not taken her eyes off Ye Chen. The crowd murmurs that President Qin always plays for high stakes and never acts without a solid reason. Enchanting the men in the room, the vice president holds absolute control over the situation. But Ye Chen drops a deadpan "I refuse," leaving the entire room completely speechless again. The ex-wife's jaw drops. To refuse an offer like that borders on insanity. Outraged by the public rejection, the iron-willed businesswoman loses her composure for a second. Staring right back at her, Ye Chen shows zero fear. Harshly shutting her down, he repeats that he does not want the job. A shiver runs down the powerful woman's spine. She is caught completely off guard. Her bodyguard furiously steps forward to defend his boss, but she instantly orders him back. Intrigued by the sheer audacity, Qin knows this guy is no ordinary nobody. Changing tactics, the president declares her total support for the Wayne family's boycott. Celebrating his downfall, the ex-wife sneers that he is finished and cannot even get a job as a basic henchman now. Unfazed, Ye Chen asks if she speaks only for herself or for the entire Huashen group, confirming she represents both. She demands to know who he thinks he is to question her. Whispers spread that her position is not that high and people start to doubt everything. Then the bombshell drops: the new President Yi is actually her lover. He faces this blatant lie since he never agreed to be her lover. Someone bluntly asks if he feels any shame about the whole situation. The crowd comments that only a powerful CEO could match her, marking the protagonist as a lost cause. With the 70 million deal seemingly guaranteed, the Wang family already celebrates their incoming profit. She asks everyone to keep the romance a secret, trying to control the narrative. Meanwhile, the boy struggles to hold back his laughter at the ridiculous story. The woman demands to know what he is laughing at. He fires back, telling her she is pretty, but not enough to attract this President Yi. Keeping up the delusion, she claims they admire each other and that he even rented an island to propose. She lies without even blinking an eye. Brushing the conversation aside, the boy announces he is heading to the registry office to sign the divorce papers. But the cousin tells him not to rush, offering him a seat to eat the leftovers. The playboy laughs at the pathetic display outside, amusing himself with the humiliation. Grabbing his phone, the boy states that Mr. Makum's situation needs clearing up. He quickly dials a number, making a high-level call. Addressed as the third young master, he orders a license to be revoked immediately. He commands the cancellation of the Tuan delivery agency in Yuncheng, proving who is really in charge. The man on the other end accepts the order with complete submission, not asking a single question. He promises to handle it personally and even invites his boss to dinner. Shortly after, he ends the call and puts his phone away. A heavy silence falls over the room as the crowd tries to process what just happened. Businessman Ma bursts into laughter, dismissing the threat and mocking the boy. The guests ridicule him, refusing to believe a mere delivery man has connections with someone so powerful. His ex-wife calls him a fraud, visibly embarrassed by his act. President Qin keeps her eyes locked on the boy amidst the reactions. But then Mr. Makam receives an urgent call from President Wu, making him tremble on the spot. He turns pale upon hearing his license was revoked by a higher authority, his world collapsing around him. Panic sets in as his agency is taken away from him in an instant. Trying to hide his panic from the crowd, he steps away to continue the call. He begs President Wu to reconsider, terrified of ending up ruined. However, the contact states the decision came directly from headquarters, cutting off any chance of negotiation. The boss announces the contract is void and a substitute is already on the way. Before hanging up, the protagonist stands by as the businessman breaks down in public. Forcing a fake smile to keep his composure, Mr. Ma lies, claiming the renewal was a success. Cousin Wang immediately raises a toast to his wealth, completely oblivious to his bankruptcy. Makum holds back tears, and the boy mockingly asks if he is crying tears of joy from his success. The businessman claims the liquor burned his throat, trying to mask his despair. The boy demands to know why he isn't telling the truth about the license, humiliating the liar. Exploding with anger, Makum claims Tuan took back management, trying to save face. The boy calmly sips his tea, pointing out how incredibly easy it was to ruin him. The crowd falls for Makum's excuse, refusing to believe a delivery man could cause such a downfall. After all, if he really had that kind of power, the Wang family's ruin would be inevitable. The woman calms the room, assuring everyone his bankruptcy has nothing to do with the boy. She quickly adds that her ex-husband comes from a family of nobodies. Everyone laughs at the absurd idea of a true young master enduring 3 years of constant humiliation. His father-in-law brutally rejects his gift, ordering the waiter to take the expensive wine away. This circle of fake elites only cares about money, reeking of corruption. The waiter invites everyone to the appetizers, officially announcing the start of the banquet. He plans to sign the divorce papers right after eating so he doesn't ruin the grandmother's party. He waits for the banquet to end to settle the paperwork once and for all, but as they reach for the food, their spoons accidentally touch. The cousin causes a scene, screaming that her cutlery is dirty just from touching his. The boy makes a highly sarcastic comment about the papaya soup on the table. This leaves the girl furious, demanding to know exactly what he meant by that. She orders the protagonist to shut his mouth and just eat. The family attacks him, complaining that he arrived empty-handed to an 80th birthday party. Declaring that the word of the Wang family is law, the old woman orders him to eat before she throws him out. His mission would have failed years ago if the old lady hadn't stopped the divorce back then. He takes out his phone, ordering a luxury gift to be delivered to the hotel. His ex mocks him, stating the family doesn't accept trash, completely unaware of what is coming. She tells him to spare himself the embarrassment and cancel any cheap souvenir he ordered. She grows increasingly irritated, repeatedly asking if he is even listening. 10 minutes later, a delivery rider appears right at the venue's entrance. Stopped by security, the delivery man announces he has a special gift. He asks for the birthday girl holding a highly important package. He explains that the owner of a luxury car paid him to deliver it. Stepping forward, the playboy immediately demands the box. He grabs the velvet packaging and wastes no time tearing it open. The absurd glow coming from inside leaves everyone breathless. It reveals pure jade bracelets valued at no less than 10 million. People question which billionaire would send such a treasure through a simple delivery rider. Meanwhile, the boy eats in peace, ignoring the chaos he just caused. Fascinated by the jewels, the guests try to guess who dropped such a fortune. The family is deeply intrigued, knowing all the big shots are already at the banquet. They assume the gift must have come from one of the wealthy suitors. Convinced a powerful man is making a move, the girl starts dreaming of her next wedding. They insinuate the gift is from a rich man pursuing yuan, completely inflating her ego. They congratulate the old lady on her generous future grandson-in-law, treating the theory as absolute fact. They would rather invent a fake admirer than accept the truth, while he simply watches them. Standing up abruptly, he asks his ex if she is finally done eating. He states that the gift has been delivered, and it is time to head to the registry office. The woman looks at him in complete confusion, not grasping a single word. He points straight at the $10 million jewelry, confirming it is his farewell gift. Losing his temper, his father-in-law screams that he could never earn that much money in a single lifetime. Her cousin insists the gift belongs to a secret admirer, calling him a useless liar. Cutting the argument short, his ex demands they leave immediately to sign the papers. Wishing the old lady a happy birthday, he declares the jewelry pays off the 3 years he spent under their roof. Screaming at him to get out, the family tells him to disappear and stop making things up. With a final threat, the cousin warns him to leave the city for good. But the young man makes it clear that staying or leaving is entirely his choice, and no one controls him. Right after his ex-wife gets into a rich lover's car, mocking him, the playboy suggests he rent a bike to get there. Before driving off, she announces she will wait for him at the registry office entrance. Unbothered, he simply flags down a taxi to head to the location. He arrives at the destination fully prepared to sign away his marriage and gain his freedom. With the divorce certificate finally in his hands, he takes a deep breath of relief. Focused purely on his career, he vows to never be called useless again. Done with those rotten people, he simply turns his back and walks away. Shouting that he is trash, the ex-wife refuses to accept his indifference. She tells Feng Xiao to follow the taxi to confirm if he is actually leaving the city. They expect him to head straight for the train station, but the car turns in the opposite direction, leaving the two completely confused. The memory of his firm gaze sends a chill down her spine. The route leads away from both the train station and the airport. The taxi heads straight into the luxury district, making no sense to either of them. He is clearly not leaving the city, and the lie infuriates her. She insists he doesn't even have enough money for a cheap motel. The taxi then pulls up right in front of the luxurious Four Seasons Hotel. Convinced he is just begging for a waiter job, they park right behind him. They step out ready to hurl insults, shouting that her family has blacklisted him from finding any work. Feng Xiao immediately calls the hotel manager to report an intruder. He demands they reject anyone by that name, trying to flex his influence, but the manager's response throws him off completely. No one by that name has applied for a job, leaving his presence a complete mystery. The suspicion arises that he might actually be a guest. They mock the idea, stating his credit limit could never cover 1,000 a night. Feng Xiao asks the manager directly to clear things up. The answer leaves the couple speechless. He just checked in. To make matters worse, he paid for 7 nights in advance. The total bill comes out to over 560,000. He went straight ahead and booked the presidential suite. At 80,000 a night, the entire fortune was paid up front. Searching for an explanation, Feng Xiao asks if he stole from the family accounts. Turning pale, the ex-wife questions everything she knew about the man she married. Dropping that kind of cash leaves the playboy completely speechless. On top of that, he handed a 10,000 tip to the receptionist. She shouts that the money belongs to her family and demands to know who let him inside. She scrambles to figure out where he got his hands on that kind of wealth. A new theory emerges. He must have stolen antiques from her grandmother's house. She calls home immediately to check for missing items, eager to report him to the police. Meanwhile, at the Wanhao Hotel, the guests ask the businesswoman if she is also leaving without meeting the bracelet donor. Her patience runs out with the mysterious man's delay, so she decides to head out. The empty road leaves the remaining guests with no expectation of anyone arriving. The businesswoman briefly considers that the gift genuinely came from him. Right then, the mother-in-law answers her daughter's call and asks if the divorce went through. Yelling through the phone, she orders her mother to check the antiques for any theft. The mere possibility makes her boil with anger. The businesswoman breathes a sigh of relief. The guy is nothing but a thief. She stands up to leave, completely done with the drama of the wealthy. The mother-in-law waves goodbye, promising to handle her ex-son-in-law's crime. She sneaks out of the hall, desperate to avoid any public scandal. Irritated, the old woman demands to know how her daughter only caught the theft after signing the papers. The presidential suite reservation is all the proof she needs. He definitely cleaned out the safe. Slamming the table in fury, the old woman orders an immediate sweep of the mansion. She orders some people to stay put while the rest check the inventory. The scene cuts to the family's luxurious villa. They tear through the relic room from top to bottom to find what's missing. 20 minutes later, the cousin returns empty-handed. Not a single item is missing. The house and the artworks are perfectly intact, prompting the men to exchange confused looks. If nothing was taken, the money couldn't possibly have come from the Wang family. But the uncle insists on ruining him and demands a second, highly detailed search. Digging through locked drawers in a dark room, the uncle decides to forge some evidence. The cousin grabs an expensive watch belonging to the grandfather, sensing a golden opportunity. He lies that the item vanished from his room to create the perfect frame-up. Valued at $5 million, they boldly declare this is how he funded the suite. The old woman shouts that her late husband's favorite watch was stolen. She orders her men to drag him back immediately for a brutal lesson. The cousin and the uncle are dispatched to capture him at the hotel, but the cowardly cousin backs out, faking injuries from his last beating to avoid going. The uncle heads out alone to handle the mess, while his nephew retreats to his room. He calls Jiao, confirming she is still keeping an eye on the hotel. Back at the entrance of the luxury hotel, the ex-wife gets the news about the stolen $5 million watch. She is determined to destroy him once and for all. She marches to the reception, demanding his room number to start a massive scene. The chance to recover the watch and humiliate him publicly fuels her excitement. Her intense enthusiasm strikes a jealous nerve in Fang Chao. He tries to be rational, warning her against causing a scene in such a place, but she snaps back, calls him a coward, and decides to handle it herself. She pounds her fists on the presidential suite door, demanding the thief open up. Ignored for several moments, she turns red with anger and refuses to stop yelling. He eventually steps up to open the door, baffled by her endless harassment. He steps out wearing nothing but a towel, and his shredded physique completely catches her off guard. The sight of the man she always called useless leaves her speechless. The impressive six-pack right in front of her freezes her in place. Regretting never letting him walk around shirtless during the summer, she shakes her head to focus. Trying to regain her composure, she immediately accuses him of stealing her grandmother's watch. He responds with clear disdain, asking what watch she is even talking about. She doubles down, accusing him of taking the family's $5 million watch. She mocks him, stating that without the theft he could never afford a suite like this. Tired of these games, the constant blame from the Wang family pushes him to his limit. He states firmly that he never took a single cent from them, let alone a watch. He addresses her simply as Miss Wang, and the cold formality infuriates her. The man who once treated her like a goddess now offers nothing but utter contempt. She orders him to drop to his knees and confess the theft for a chance of forgiveness. She threatens to call the police, reminding him that stealing $5 million guarantees a prison sentence. Ignoring her ridiculous demands, he simply turns around and walks back into his room. She screams at the closed door and dials the police, putting on a massive show. She brags that the cops are on their way and he will soon rot in jail. However, the old matriarch panics when she hears her granddaughter actually called the police. The ex-wife argues that he is no longer family and should face the full extent of the law. The mother-in-law fully supports this, hoping he gets life in prison and disappears forever. 10 minutes later, the police chief arrives at the hotel, escalating the situation. Jiao lies straight to the officers' faces, accusing him of blowing the stolen money on luxuries. She points to the suite door, demanding they arrest the trash immediately. The officer tries to maintain order, shouting for him to come out and surrender. Inside, he simply ignores the ringing phone. Riding up the elevator, the officers and the ex-wife plan to kick the door down if necessary. Opening the door calmly in a silk robe, our guy faces Chief Lee. The officer immediately begins the interrogation, asking if he stole the $5 million. Keeping a firm voice, the protagonist swears he never took a single thing from the Wang family. The ex-wife bursts out laughing, bringing up his past as a broke delivery guy. The officer questions how an unemployed man can afford an $80,000 a night room. Unbothered, the protagonist grabs a document from the table and plays his final card. He reveals the Huasheng Group transfer contract, shifting the mood instantly. The document proves he is the new CEO and majority shareholder, silencing the entire room. To back it up, he hands over a metal card embedded with gold and diamonds. The card alone is worth around $10,000, making the officers break into a cold sweat. The officer still tries to validate the document, requesting to run it through the police database. Perfectly calm, Agai calls the system administrator administrator and requests 10 minutes of access. He orders the removal of his data protection so the officers can verify his identity. He gives them the green light to search, waiting for the results to load on their tablet. The official CEO profile of the Huasheng Group appears on the screen, leaving the officer completely speechless. The verified government profile confirms the massive mistake the authorities just made. The younger officer still pushes back, suggesting it might be the work of a hacker. To shut down any remaining doubts, the protagonist pulls up his bank account on his phone. The screen displays the sweep payment and his current balance, dropping their jaws. Almost dropping the phone, the chief shouts out the 10 billion balance. He points out how lucky his ex is for not checking his assets during the divorce settlement. He states that just one of his cards holds more value than the entire Wang family combined. The officers question why such a wealthy man agreed to marry into that family in the first place. Explaining it was a forced arrangement, he demands absolute secrecy from everyone in the room. The officers promise his privacy is guaranteed and swear to keep their mouths shut. He dismisses Chief Li, telling the officer to go on about his business. Down in the lobby, the officer informs the ex that her former husband is clean, advising her to search her own home again. She throws a fit, screaming that it is impossible for him to have money without stealing it. The officer hits her with the harsh truth, asking what kind of delivery guy casually holds 10 billion. Stating he cannot make an arrest without evidence, he demands photos or videos of the alleged crime. Chief Li also warns her to stop insulting the man by calling him trash or poor. Her face turns pale as the possibility of her ex being a massive big shot sets in. Walking away with a laugh, the officer mocks her for throwing away a billionaire husband. Right before he leaves, she asks if there was a woman in the room with him. The officer shuts down her suspicion, confirming he was completely alone. A fake smile spreads across her face as she convinces herself he is still in love with her. Watching from a distance, her lover gets frustrated by the police's passive behavior. Her brother calls, confirming that their plan to frame him has completely failed. She admits the police found zero evidence, solidifying their defeat. The brother suggests forging proof of the watch sale to get him arrested no matter what. He shamelessly admits that the watch is actually in his own hands. He promises to mock up a fake receipt to throw the protagonist behind bars. The image of her ex begging for help leaves her torn between hatred and a twisted sense of possession. Shaking it off, she decides to spend the night at the hotel with her lover. She asks him to stay, immediately giving the guy the wrong idea, but he snaps back, saying she cannot even handle her ex. Yet she is already trying to sleep with someone else. Without a second thought, she slaps him hard across the face. She orders him to alert her the exact second her ex steps out of the hotel. Suddenly, a random guy walks up and throws a cheap pickup line at her. The comment instantly infuriates the long-haired lover. Skipping ahead to the next morning, the scene cuts to our guy casually opening his hotel room door. He walks out of the building completely unfazed. He steps out sporting a sharp, well-dressed new look. One of the guards immediately reports that he is out on the street. The guard starts tailing the protagonist without wasting a single second. The trail stops right in front of Vice President Qin's office building. Her threat from the previous day is still fresh, setting the stage for her reaction today. Meanwhile, the guard informs the long-haired guy, leaving him confused about the protagonist's destination. He assumes the guy went there seeking revenge. He immediately makes a call to sound the alarm. The executive answers the phone, demanding to know who is on the line. She questions what Fang wants from her. Cutting straight to the chase, he warns her that the protagonist is in her building to get payback. Brimming with confidence, the vice president tells him to relax, boasting about her heavy security. He drops a massive bombshell, revealing the guy has an all-access pass and is already on his way up. The news shatters her confidence, leaving her trembling at the thought of a face-to-face encounter. Fang Chao blatantly lies, claiming the protagonist stole the watch and sold it for 5 million. The playboy fakes concern for Qin, trying to play the hero, losing her patience. The businesswoman gives a quick thanks and orders security to check the office. She hangs up right in his face before he can even offer to help. Qin orders her secretary, Rong to hunt down the intruder. Half an hour later, the scene shifts to the imposing Huasheng Group headquarters. Security guards greet the secretary at the entrance. Rong says good morning and swipes her card to enter the building. The guards chat among themselves, commenting on how she is much more approachable than her boss. Up in the presidential suite, panic sets in as Rong finds a man inside the office. Sitting comfortably in the main chair, the protagonist simply asks who she is. The girl introduces herself as President Qin's personal secretary. Her striking outfit clearly caters to male attention, sparking a quick remark from the protagonist. He questions if her boss prefers women, but the secretary firmly demands answers. Staring her down, he introduces himself as the new president, Yi Chen. The girl freezes in her tracks, completely overwhelmed by the bombshell revelation. Embarrassed, she begs for forgiveness, explaining her boss had warned her about a suspect. The protagonist brushes it off, making a comment about the Wang family haunting his every step. He orders the famous, most beautiful CEO to come see him the moment she arrives. Hiding in the bathroom, Rongrong calls her boss, who answers in a panic. The secretary reports that the alleged intruder is actually the new president leaving Kin in utter shock. The businesswoman floors the gas pedal of her convertible, speeding straight to the company. 10 minutes later, the powerful Kin bursts into the lobby. Rongrong meets her at the door, confirming the man is waiting upstairs. The assistant passes on the message that the new boss demands to see her immediately in his office. Walking down the hall, Kin questions the unusual buzz among the employees so early in the day. Gossip is spreading like wildfire. Everyone is eager to catch a glimpse of the handsome new CEO. Rongrong gushes over his looks, claiming he is far more handsome than any celebrity. Shin is caught off guard by his age, considering it took her years to climb the corporate ladder. Chien demands professionalism, ordering her staff to stop drooling over their new boss. The secretary jokes that a dominating CEO like him is the perfect match for her boss. She brings up a compliment he gave her, but Kin quickly shuts down the nonsense. Brimming with confidence, the businesswoman plans to make him lick the ground she walks on. The staff recalls how she has brought stubborn billionaires to their knees before. As the girls ask for advice, the boss touches up her lipstick for the upcoming confrontation. Shin leaves the door wide open so everyone can watch her tame the newcomer. The employees cheer, urging her to make the protagonist drop to his knees. Shin decides to humiliate him, making sure everyone knows who truly runs the place. Without hesitation, she knocks on the door and enters after getting his permission. Even facing away, his imposing silhouette alone catches the vice president off guard. She mentions she received his summons, finding his profile oddly familiar. The protagonist sets the papers down and slowly turns to face her. Outside the office, the crowd places bets on the new boss falling at their queen's feet. The moment his face is revealed, Kin freezes in shock and stutters Ye Chen's name. Her legs give out and the powerful businesswoman collapses to her knees. The eavesdropping staff stare in utter confusion as their boss kneels on the office floor. Rongrong rushes to shut the door, hiding her boss's humiliation from the crowd. The secretary panics, completely lost on how the situation flips so drastically. The protagonist looks up, locking eyes with the spying employees. Caught red-handed, the gossips scream and scatter down the hallway in panic. Still on the floor, Kin Hom-yeon trembles in fear right in front of the protagonist. He asks why she is on her knees, and the businesswoman immediately begs for mercy. Scrambling to her feet, she apologizes and blames the Wang family for misleading her. He brings up her previous claim from yesterday, reminding her that she swore they were lovers. Without warning, he pulls her in and plants a deep kiss on her, leaving the executive in absolute shock. Her perfume fills the air as he asks which private island she booked for their date. Flushing red with embarrassment, she can only repeat how wrong she was. The protagonist lets her go and orders her to pull herself together. He tells her to close the blinds and she obeys without hesitation. He reminds her of her bold promise to destroy the new president's auctions. Sitting in her chair, he asks exactly how she plans to block him now. Chin admits she completely misjudged his status and accepts whatever punishment comes her way. She offers no excuses, fully prepared to be berated, beaten, or fired on the spot. Her composure stands out. She owns her mistake instead of panicking. The executive braces for the worst, but he simply states she is not fired. He explains that during yesterday's mess, she was the only one who offered him a dignified way out. With tears in her eyes, she swears absolute loyalty to her new master. He pardons her but makes it clear he will show zero mercy to the others who stood against him. Calling her by her first name, he demands a full dossier on every enemy from the banquet. She nods in agreement, knowing his next move is about to shake the city's entire business world. Half an hour later, she hands over the files, starting right with Fang Chao. The files state the Fang family is worth 10 billion, but Qin casually dismisses their actual power. Hong Yan sets the record straight. Their assets have actually shrunk to 3 billion and they are dropping fast. She reveals the Wang family's recent credit request, eager to make Jiachi suffer for siding with Fang Chao. Keeping business strictly separate from personal grudges, he asks to review the Wang family's project proposal. She offers to fetch the documents, but the protagonist decides to go with her. Elsewhere, Fang Chao wonders if the president has already dealt with the protagonist. A woman walks up and calls him young master, though the playboy has no idea who she is. She reminds him how he bought her drinks and relentlessly hit on her the entire night. Brushing off his drunken memory, he suddenly recalls she is an employee at the Huaxing group. Seeing an opening, the playboy convinces the employee to sneak him upstairs under the guise of saving Qin from danger. A minute later, they step out of the elevator right onto the executive floor. Fang Chao overhears the whispers about the boss dropping to her knees for the new president. Confused, he asks for Qin, but the secretary firmly demands an appointment. Ignoring protocol entirely, he marches straight toward the president's office. He brutally kicks the door open, sending it crashing against the wall. Bursting inside, he spots the protagonist with the executive and immediately screams about the thief. Furious, he accuses the protagonist of trying to exact revenge on President Qin. Striking a fake hero pose, he offers to personally throw the protagonist out. Out of nowhere, the businesswoman delivers a vicious slap to the playboy's face, leaving him completely stunned. Furious, she demands to be treated with the respect her title commands. Fang Xiao quickly corrects himself, finally registering that no one else in the room is surprised by the protagonist's presence. He jumps to the ridiculous conclusion that the protagonist has been hired as a bodyguard. He starts mocking him, assuming the protagonist begged on his knees for a basic security job. He loudly declares that the protagonist came crawling back just to be Qin's obedient lapdog. He urges the boss to fulfill her promise and destroy the protagonist once and for all. Rongrong gasps in shock, horrified to hear her boss ever plotted against the new president. Enraged, the businesswoman slaps Fang again and violently screams her denial. She immediately orders security to drag the playboy out and fires the employee who let him in. Escorted out of the building, Fang Chao seizes over the humiliation of getting slapped in front of his rival. He throws out a final threat, swearing that a security badge will not save the protagonist from prison. Sitting in his car, he curses Qin's name, plotting to destroy her right after locking down the protagonist's ex-wife. He starts the engine, eager to spread the fake news to the Wang family about the protagonist's new security job. An hour later, the Wang family matriarch reacts in pure shock to the ridiculous rumor. Fang Zhao swears up and down that he saw her former son-in-law carrying files like a lowly grunt. The relatives voice their doubts while the ex-wife stands completely paralyzed by the news. The playboy spins a lie, claiming the protagonist fell to his knees to beg the businesswoman for forgiveness. He suggests Qin had a rare moment of pity and decided to take the trash in. Wang Jiqi's blood boils at the very thought of her ex-husband kneeling for another woman. She bitterly complains that he never once knelt for her during their 3 years of marriage. Her sister chimes in with a taunt, saying Jiaqi simply lacked the charm to properly tame her own husband. The brother-in-law laughs as his wife brags about how she would have made him wash her feet every single day. Furious, Jiaqi snaps back that she was far too kind, vowing she would force him to his knees day and night if she had the chance. The ex-wife demands that her grandmother sever all ties with the businesswoman and make her pay. The matriarch instantly slaps her granddaughter across the face, ordering her to shut her mouth. She reminds everyone that a 70 million deal depends entirely on Qin making enemies is simply not an option. Jiaqi's father points out her obvious jealousy, bluntly stating that Qin is far more capable than she is. Chi tries to storm off to the company to cause a scene, but her grandmother forbids her from leaving the house. Jiqiang suggests the matriarch call Qin directly to smooth things over. Over the phone, the old woman tells Qin that if she had known her interest in the protagonist, she would have handed him over for free. She firmly demands an explanation as to why Qin broke her promise to blacklist the man. Qin offers a polite apology, fully aware the old woman would have a heart attack if she ever found out the truth. The matriarch casually hands the protagonist over to the businesswoman, pushing Jiaqi to the brink of despair. Changing the subject, the old woman pushes for an update on the 70 million financing. Qin mentions that President Ye took an interest in the project, but demands to review the fine details. Pleasantly surprised, the old woman assigns Jiqiang to head to the group for an official meeting. He confidently promises to impress President Yi and secure the final deal. Jiqiang asks if they are dropping the theft accusations, now that the protagonist is supposedly Qin's new lover. The old woman orders them to keep digging for proof so they can throw him in jail later on. A relative speaks up, claiming he found out exactly which local thug bought the stolen watch from him. A malicious smile spreads across the old woman's face as she orders them to secure the evidence and destroy Qin's new lapdog. The matriarch lashes out at the rest of her family, calling every single one of them useless and incompetent. She humiliates Jiaqi, saying her granddaughter was incapable of keeping her own husband. In tears, Jiaqi storms out of the room, completely ignoring her mother's calls. Behind the wheel, she steps on the gas, determined to teach her ex a lesson for embarrassing her. She speeds into the Huasheng parking lot, tires screeching in pure rage. Qin Hongyan is standing right there, waiting near a car. The MC is right beside her, keeping close to the businesswoman. The two of them stand together as the MC closely accompanies his boss. They share a laugh, and the MC clearly looks far better after the divorce. She slams her car door shut and yells that he is just a shameless lapdog. The MC turns to her, while his boss glares at the arrogant woman interrupting them. His ex-wife accuses him of kneeling for total strangers instead of her. She claims claims she gave him plenty of chances, and he would still be a son-in-law if he had just begged. The MC asks if she has no shame being so completely out of line. He brings up her cheating with the playboy, yet she still expected him to get on his knees. Jiaki insists that if he had just begged, she would have stopped the divorce. She yells that he willingly bows to his boss, but not to his own ex-wife. The MC fires back, kneeling for a loyal wife is honorable, but kneeling for a cheater is just pathetic. Jiachi screams that she spoiled him and should have made him wash her feet from the very beginning. The MC responds with a cold, dead silent glare. Out of nowhere, Han Yan steps up and slaps the axe across the face, making her scream in pain and shock. The boss explodes, asking if the cheater has absolutely no shame left. Jia-Chi cries in sheer anger, but the businesswoman makes it clear she will slap her whenever she pleases. The girl accuses the executive of stealing her man and assaulting her on top of it. The MC places a hand on his boss's shoulder to calm her down and tells her to drop it. He orders Jia-Chi to leave, making it crystal clear that he is no longer her man. His ex compares him to a family dog and outright forbids him from working as her rival's bodyguard. She tries to bribe him with 500,000, seriously ticking him off. Standing side by side, it is obvious he looks much better as a single man. She slams her car door again and calls the MC Kin's little lapdog. The MC turns his attention to her while his boss scoffs at the sheer audacity of the arrogant princess. His ex demands to know why he knelt for this woman and not for her. She swears he would still be a son-in-law of the Wang family if he had just begged for forgiveness. The MC asks if she has any shame acting so shamelessly. He brings up her cheating at the hotel and the sheer absurdity of expecting him to kneel. Ji-Chi insists she gave him a chance at the banquet to save their marriage. She yells, demanding to know why he serves another woman instead of his own wife. The MC fires back. Kneeling for a cheater is sheer humiliation, not respect. Jie-Chi screams that she spoiled him and should have made him wash her feet. The MC maintains an icy glare, completely ignoring his ex's outburst. Han Yan completely loses her patience and delivers another hard slap across the brat's face. The boss tears into the ex's attitude, pointing out how she cheated yet still tries to play the victim. Crying, Chi demands an explanation for the assault, but the businesswoman couldn't care less. The girl accuses her rival of stealing her man and assaulting her, putting on a full show of victimhood. The MC calms his boss down and tells her not to waste her energy on this. He cuts ties for good and tells his ex to go her own way. Jiaki orders him to quit his job, still acting possessive over her family's so-called dog. She offers him a raise to leave the company, but it only annoys him further. Melon rejects the dirty offer, stating that Boss Lu's orders are absolute law. Desperate young Wang offers him a luxury watch worth 4 million. The redhead hesitates. His loyalty to his mentor is supposed to be absolute. Wang lowers the asking price to 3 million, guaranteeing an easy profit for the thug. Melon's eyes light up with greed, and he accepts the deal. Easy money is impossible to refuse. Back in the car, the MC strictly forbids his partner from ever laying a finger on his ex again. He states that love and hate are simply two sides of the exact same coin. The young master's deep and mature perspective leaves a strong impression on her. He is wealthy, handsome, and incredibly generous with women. Since his ex failed to value him, she makes it her own mission to win the MC over. At the temple, he breaks down the luxury project the Wang family wants to finance. The young woman praises the location, calling it the perfect retreat for the city's elite. She questions why he would ever give money to people who treated him like trash. The MC reveals that the project was actually his idea, leaving his assistant completely speechless. He explains that the Wang heirs are utterly mediocre, constantly fighting over mere scraps. His original plan was to build an exclusive estate to directly control the local elite. He gave the idea to his ex, but the grandmother handed control over to Uncle Jikyang instead. The blatant sexism within the Wang family is obvious, making the assistant actually pity the MC's ex. He confirms that she was always under intense pressure, which led to their arranged marriage. A leaf falls, and he mutters that her past struggles do not justify the cheating. The MC gently brushes the fallen leaf from the woman's hair. He heaps the maple leaf and invites his assistant out for a drink. Jielin shows up alone at a bar, shouting that she wants to drink everything in sight. Soon, the MC's ex arrives with her friend, begging for some company. Sung Hongye questions the heavy day drinking and offers to go after whoever pissed her off. Jialin explodes, explaining that Chin slapped her and complaining that she isn't even allowed to curse her ex. In tears, the ex desperately questions the real relationship between the businesswoman and the MC. Hongye explains, to beat a dog, you must look at its master. And Kin refuses to let anyone insult her servant. Jialin tries to justify herself, claiming she only cheated once, and that every beautiful woman does it. The redhead reveals that her friend has already repeated the mistake, making Honye spit out her drink. Jialin argues that her ex should have just kept his mouth shut since he lived off her family's charity. Envy consumes her at the fact that he became someone else's bodyguard instead of hers. Her friend points out that the MC loved her for 3 years and wouldn't move on that fast. Honye claims he only took the job to force Jialin into respecting him. She theorizes that he just wants to earn his own money so he can ask for her hand in marriage again. Jialin falls for the theory, fully embracing the idea that this is her ex's grand plan. The ex-wife gives a smug little smirk, already claiming victory. She mutters to herself, absolutely certain the foolish MC is still crazy about her. Her friend suggests she marry Fang, and if it fails, she can just run right back to the MC. Completely drunk, Jialin agrees to the plan, declaring that the MC deserves to suffer a bit anyway. Honye asks how he became a deliveryman when he used to just stay at home all day. Jialin explains that he needed cash for his sick mother and was forced to figure it out. Her phone rings, and her friend announces it is her annoying cousin, Wang Xiaoji. Xiaoji orders her to go see their grandmother, claiming he found proof of the watch sale. The MC's phone also rings with a call from the exact same scumbag. The villain summons him to the mansion to face the supposed proof of his crime. The MC refuses, but Xiaoji pushes him, claiming the witness is already there waiting. Faced with such a blatant lie, our guy decides to head over and end the farce himself. He asks Secretary Zhou if she knows how to drive, and she confirms immediately. The MC orders her to head to the Shan Villa, and she quickly grabs the keys. The two speed off, tearing down the road. Returning to this place now as a grandmaster carries a heavy weight. 30 minutes later, the car pulls up right in front of the estate. Secretary Zhou steps out of the car with all the authority of her position. The family is confused by the elite secretary's presence and looks around for the MC. Zhou opens the back door and announces the arrival of President Yi. The MC steps out and asks her to wait for him outside. The family is stunned to see a high-end secretary acting as his personal driver. Xiaoji mocks him, assuming the MC is just staging a cliché comeback story. Another woman agrees, calling the whole act ridiculous and showy. His cousin asks how much the MC paid the woman to open the door for him. Someone else chimes in that he is just a lapdog, but the MC completely ignores the insults. Jialin stands to the side, laughing to herself at the scene. She fully believes her friend's theory. The MC is just trying to prove he made it in life. Losing patience, he demands to see this so-called witness to the watch sale. Xiaoji leads him down a hallway to a room full of thugs. These are just cheap street thugs putting on a circus act. Melon greets him with a mocking smirk, pretending they are old friends. The redhead blatantly lies, claiming the MC sold him the watch for 5 million. Xiaojia accuses the MC of playing dumb to avoid admitting the theft. The MC scoffs at the low-level witness and tells them to drop the act. The grandmother accuses the MC of stealing from the family and having the sheer audacity to argue about it. He tells the matriarch he came to clear things up and that he never touched the watch. The old woman holds up the piece and asks how it ended up with a street thug. Melon lies, saying the MC sold the watch to pay for a luxury hotel stay. Xiaojie celebrates in silence, completely convinced his plan against the MC is flawless. He tried living as a normal guy, but all he ever received was absolute contempt. He decides to lay the truth out on the table. He is the president of the Huasheng Group. He asks if being a billionaire is proof enough, leaving the room in dead silence. The entire family bursts into laughter, treating it like a massive joke. Xiaojie mocks him, asking if he stepped right out of a comedy movie. A woman laughs and says if that were true, she would happily become his second wife. Melon tells him to drop the act and get on his knees if he wants to avoid jail. Jiaqi states that, out of respect for their 3 years of marriage, she won't let her ex go to prison. She demands that he kneel and admit his mistake so he can walk away completely free. The MC refuses. Absolutely no one in this family is worthy of seeing him on his knees. Jaichi's mother flies into a rage, screaming for the police to arrest the useless son-in-law. Melon fears the police. An investigation would easily expose the fake watch scheme. The thug decides to force the MC to his knees just to please the old woman. The goons grab the MC, trying to force him into submission. With an icy glare, our guy stands his ground. They do not deserve an ounce of his respect. With one swift motion, he breaks free from their grip and shatters their defense. The MC lands a clean punch on his rival, making him howl in pain. Startled by the technique, Melon orders a full-on attack. Out of nowhere, the family poodle bites one of the thugs, protecting the MC. Wawa runs over to the MC and takes shelter right between his legs. He picks a dog up. This little animal is far more grateful than the entire family combined. The MC points out that even a dog recognizes who actually took care of it. The matriarch orders Yuan to take the animal back immediately. The dog barks and completely refuses to leave our guy's side. The grandmother gives him one last chance to kneel and avoid the worst. The MC repeats the obvious fact: none of them are worthy of making him bend the knee. The thugs charge at him with everything they have, swearing bloody vengeance. His past combat training in Syria instantly kicks in. He effortlessly dodges their strikes and takes the attackers down one by one. For someone who lived through actual wars, this brawl is just child's play. Within seconds, the floor is completely covered with groaning thugs. One brute manages to grab him, trying to pin him down from behind. The thug pulls out a knife, threatening to slash the MC's tendons. Melon charges in furiously, ready to cripple our guy once and for all. The MC uses the attacker as a human shield, and Melon ends up stabbing his own ally. He unleashes an electric shock, knocking both brutes out cold. The family is left utterly stunned by the terrifying strength the MC just displayed. The grandmother suspects her late husband actually knew about these secret skills. Chi scoffs, assuming her grandfather was only after the MC's money. Yuan's father comments that the old man had truly found a rare gem. He reveals that the MC was originally offered to his other granddaughter first. Chi explains that he rejected the MC for his own daughter because he looked like a country bumpkin. He laughs at Jiaqi for ending up with the leftovers her sister threw away. Yuan gloats over her sister, claiming she was incredibly lucky to dodge that bullet. The harsh truths behind his arranged marriage is finally out in the open. After years of brutal warfare, all he ever wanted was peace and a real family. He fell for Jiaqi at first sight, genuinely believing she was the sweet love of his life. He clenches his fist. His dream of a warm home has turned into a complete nightmare. Out of nowhere, he steps forward and crushes Melon's wrist. The thug freezes in absolute terror. The MC mercilessly twists the redhead's arm, making him scream in agony. Glaring down at the trash, he demands to know who ordered the fake watch setup. Melon tries to act tough, but the cold sweat dripping down his face gives his fear away. Xiaoji panics, terrified the thug will spill the beans and ruin him. The MC drops the worm and issues a challenge: if they have proof, call the cops and end this stupid show. He grabs his jacket to leave, followed by the barks of the incredibly loyal Huahua. The little dog tugs at his pants, desperately pleading for the only decent human in the room to stay. The MC gently pets the dog, stating it is the only truly valuable thing in this entire house. Jiqiang stops his son from going after the MC. He knows perfectly well that no one here can beat him. Xiaoji rushes over to help Melon, realizing this situation is way out of his depth. Furious, the redhead demands 1 million for the damages and accepts the mission to completely wipe the MC out. The thug takes the dirty job, but makes it clear he is in a massive hurry to disappear. Xiaoji swears a bloody revenge for being humiliated inside his own home. Back at the company, the MC approves the new partnership and orders the Wang family to be called in for a test. Hongyan follows the order and prepares the summons for that family of snakes. Over at the Wang mansion, the mood is completely festive with the news of the investment. Jiqiang announces the funding was approved, but President Ye requested an in-person meeting. The matriarch orders her son to lick the boss's boots clean just to secure the millions. Yuan pops out of nowhere, acting all sweet, and asks to accompany her father to the meeting. Her father is confused, but she confesses she just wants to meet this handsome young president. Jiaqi burns with deep jealousy and reminds them that the man already has Qin as a lover. Yuan fires back. A lover is not a wife, and she guarantees she has far more to offer. Xiaoji and the grandmother fully support the seduction plan. To them, status is the only thing that matters. The old woman officially authorizes the hunt for the president, and Yuan is already daydreaming about a life of luxury. Consumed by envy, Jiaqi decides to go as well, bitter that her project changed hands. Yuan gloats over her sister, claiming the president would never want a divorced woman. The grandmother completely ignores Jiaqi and tells her youngest granddaughter to focus entirely on winning the billionaire over. Jiaqi storms out, foaming with absolute rage at the old woman's blatant favoritism. An hour later at Huaxing, the secretary announces the arrival of the Wang family. He has them seated in the reception area to wait indefinitely. With an ironic smile, he orders the staff to deny them even a glass of water. While waiting, Yuan complains about her tight qipao, but her father reminds her the high slit is strategic. Jiqiang coaches her on the art of high-class seduction. The goal is marriage, not a quick fling. She promises to steal President Qin's position, while her father is already dreaming of taking control of the family. 10 minutes pass, and Yuan huffs in frustration over the lack of service. She demands black tea from Secretary Zhou, who simply smiles and asks for patience. Another 10 minutes of sitting idly go by, and the girl explodes over the delay. Her father scolds her to maintain her ladylike posture, warning that the boss could walk in at any second. She forces herself to settle down, pasting on a perfect artificial smile. Half an hour later, her back aches and her patience runs dry. Where is the president? It becomes obvious that President Yi is completely disregarding their presence. The door finally opens, and Yi Chen strolls into the room with total calm. He immediately starts lecturing Yuan Yuan on her sloppy posture. She jumps in surprise. He then compliments her outfit, mentioning it has been years since she dressed up like this. Yuan Yuan tells him to back off, calling him a piece of trash unworthy of her attention. Zhiqiang snaps, demanding to know what a mere security guard is doing in the real boss's place. Amused by their denial, Yi Chen states clearly, if they want to talk about the project, he is the one in charge. Yuan Yuan's father scoffs, calling him an ignorant guard who knows nothing about real money. Out of patience for their insults, our guy threatens to leave them talking to the walls. Yuan Yuan grabs his arm, desperate to squeeze out some insider information. She asks for dirt on President Qin, and Ye Chen pretends to spill the secrets. Prying further, she asks if the boss and President Yi live together. A golden opportunity presents itself. He lies, claiming the two broke up, just to watch the chaos unfold. The gasp of, "They broke up," echoes through the room, sending father and daughter into pure ecstasy. Yuan Yuan praises the heavens for this luck. Her extreme joy is visibly bizarre. The girl switches back to her ladylike posture, already acting like she owns the whole company. She awkwardly forces intimate nicknames on Yi Chen, trying to sound like family. Ji Qiang points out that since he works there, he now owes his absolute obedience to his future boss. He is already planning his daughter's wedding with the president, uniting the families once again. Ye Chen questions her confidence, and the girl swears it is impossible for the president to resist her. She brings up her grandmother's $1,000,000 bracelet, suspecting it was a gift from President Ye, feeding her delusions. Ye Chen confirms it. The gift really did come from President Ye. Yuan Yuan nearly explodes with happiness, absolutely certain she has a billionaire admirer. Father and daughter exchange victorious looks, convinced the big fish is already on the hook. Zhiqiang is already acting the part of father-in-law to the most powerful man in Yuncheng. Their naked greed is sickening. He leaves them completely immersed in their own delusion. Out in the hallway, Jia Qi is looking for the president, but Ye Qin tells her he is busy. He describes the current visitor as a cheap flirt, deliberately stoking his ex-wife's anger. Ji Qi boils with jealousy, ready to storm into the office and teach the cheap woman a lesson. Her father holds her back, begging her not to ruin her image in front of the billionaire. Ye Chen tells them all to sit and wait, walking away with a smirk. 5 minutes later, the secretary dismisses the Wangs, citing an unforeseen issue with the boss. The harsh rejection leaves father and daughter completely stunned and full of doubts. Ji Qiang tries to secure a new appointment, but Secretary Zhou firmly escorts them to the exit. Out on the street, Yuan Yuan calls her mother to call an emergency meeting at the mansion. Over at the luxurious Sishan villa, tension hangs heavy in the air. Ji Qi demands to know if the contract was signed, but her cousin claims the news is even better. Yuan Yuan announces that the $10 million bracelet was a direct gift from President Ye. Jie spirals out of control, demanding to know how her poor ex-husband could possibly be involved. The grandmother is skeptical. She insists the gift was merely a courtesy from President Qin to their family. Zhiqiang steps in to prove the romance is over, claiming the president's focus is solely on Yuan Yuan. Her cousin gloats, pointing out that when the gift arrived, Jiachi was still a married woman. The matriarch takes the bait completely, celebrating their incredible luck in securing such a wealthy suitor for her granddaughter. Yuan Yuan promises to carry the Wang family to the top, soaking up the old woman's endless praise and pampering. Asked about her source, she laughs and reveals it was none other than the useless Yi Chen. Yuan Yuan volunteers to handle the contract that afternoon, completely cutting Jia Qi out of the deal. Mockingly, she offers her cousin the job of driver to chauffeur her to the company. Humiliated, Jia Qi explodes, screaming that she refuses to be anyone's maid. She storms out and speeds away in her car, while her family completely ignores her distress. Behind the wheel, pure hatred takes over. She drives recklessly through the streets like a madwoman. Desperation clouds her judgment, and she misses the brakes on a sharp curve. The crash is inevitable. Her car violently smashes into the guardrail. Amidst tears and twisted metal, she unleashes all her blazing hatred toward our guy. Back in the quiet office, Ye Chen's phone vibrates. It is a call from his ex-wife. When he answers, he is met with nothing but hateful screams and baseless insults. The outburst is completely out of left field. Why is she suddenly throwing a massive tantrum? She screams through the phone, calling him an idiot for hiding the truth about the bracelet earlier, only to blab about it to her uncle and cousin now. Because of him, she suffered the worst humiliation of her life. The reason for the meltdown becomes obvious. He simply replied replies that he always told the truth. They were the ones who chose to live in a lie. Weeping, Jichi complains that her grandmother now only cares about Yuan. She explains how her cousin humiliated her by demanding she act as a chauffeur, terrified of losing her family status if Yuan marries the billionaire. Ye Chen shuts her down with a simple question. Don't you have your young master, Fang? She snaps back, admitting that Fang Chao doesn't even come close to President Yi in power or social standing. Then, despite her hatred, she demands a favor from him. He suppresses a laugh. Being compared to his own alter ego and his rival is utterly ridiculous. Jiaqi screams that even if Fang is a nobody compared to the president, he is still 10,000 times better than Ye Chen, who did nothing but ruin their marriage. Done dealing with her foolishness, our guy warns he is hanging up. He has better things to do than listen to his ex-wife's rants. Desperate, she swallows her pride and begs him not to hang up, insisting the situation is an absolute emergency. The sudden change in tone and the distant crash in the background are hard to ignore. He finally asks, "What do you want now? But what about you? Did you enjoy the video? Want to see what happens next? Then hit that like button." On the phone, a woman says she wants to ruin Yuan's vibe with the president. Her plan is super shady, slipping laxatives into her tea or ripping her dress on purpose. Our boy finds this way too complex and says the boss will just refuse to see her. Boiling with rage, the snob doubts a simple bodyguard can boss his CEO around. He just drops a "believe what you want" and hangs up, leaving her fuming. Later on, the jealous cousin shows up all dressed up at the Huaisheng Group headquarters. Acting all high and mighty, she demands Zhou take her straight to the main office. The assistant shuts that down and tells her to leave, making the girl super upset. Soon enough, Zhou hands her an excuse. She's so pretty the boss would lose his focus. Caught off guard, the delusional girl figures the guy is her secret admirer. Smiling from ear to ear, she agrees to leave and asks to grab coffee sometime. On her way out, the brat pulls a stack of cash from her bag and offers it to the secretary. All of that just to try and buy an exclusive picture of President Yi, but the worker rejects the money, claiming she doesn't have any pictures of him around. Whispering in her ear, she reveals the boss is super handsome and around her age. She leaves on cloud 9 while the secretary thinks about how shallow this girl is. Far from there, the scene cuts to the dangerous city of Mance. Boss Lu pours a drink and asks what brought his henchman Melon all the way here. Confirming the disaster in Yuncheng, the guide begs the boss for some backup. Then he starts reporting the massive embarrassment he faced in the city. Hearing this, Lu loses it and smashes the bottle on the thug's forehead, stunned that out of 80 guys, only 10 came back in one piece. Head bowed, the henchman takes the blame, calling himself trash and begging for punishment. Surprisingly, the master lights a cigar and says fighting doesn't solve anything anymore. Since they are shadow criminals, they move their operations to Southeast Asia. Whining, Melon begs to take 100 men and get revenge on the kid who clowned him. However, the big boss pulls out his phone and reminds him that everything he built was thanks to Elder Fang. The phone rings and he answers with the utmost respect, bowing to his master. To his surprise, the elder is already in Yuncheng, prompting Liu to fly there immediately. Giving the henchman a heads up about the trip, the fool decides he wants to tag along, catches a slap to the face right away. The old man warns that even he doesn't see the elder whenever he wants. Wasting no time, he orders them to buy the ticket and promises to wipe out each end. This makes the thug glow with joy, already celebrating the impending doom of our hero. That night, the Wang mansion is buzzing with energy. Bragging to her dad, the snob is fully sure the president is head over heels for her. So, the old man tells that pretty boy Xiao Ji to seal the deal the very next day. Glancing at his phone, the playboy reads a threat against Ye Chen. He flashes an evil smirk, itching to cross paths with our protagonist. Fast forward to the next day, we arrive at the base of the overpowered Elder Fang. Boss Liu shows up with his head down, greeting his mentor with heavy respect. Right away, the old guy points out he became a kingpin and doesn't need to kiss up anymore. But the mobster shows his gratitude and asks why on earth the elder returned to China. Getting a simple answer, the supreme leader ordered him to help the third young master. That makes Liu shake in his boots, remembering the overwhelming power this family holds. And the warning is clear: if his goons mess with the heir, the punishment will be fatal. Sweating bullets, the crime boss asks to see the kid's face to avoid a tragedy. Without saying a word, Fang gestures to his assistant. A photo gets handed over, revealing the untouchable face of the heir. And that's where it gets crazy. Liu freezes. The so-called heir is the exact kid he was hunting down. The old man just shares the family's plans and asks about the overseas business while he panics. Hiding his freakout, he confesses he brought 100 goons to settle a beef. The elder couldn't care less, as long as this mess stays far away from our MC. Acting super submissive, the master agrees and gets invited for a quick game of chess. Back at the Huaisheng group, Xiao Jie is foaming at the mouth after rotting in the lobby for 2 hours. Our protagonist's phone rings with the woman's name flashing on the screen. Finding it super weird, the hero wonders what on earth she wants now. 5 flat minutes later, he walks into the room speaking loudly and complaining. Calmly, he replies that the boss is busy chatting with some idiot. Laughing it off, the rival agrees, until he realizes the idiot in that sentence is him. That shatters the preppy guy's pride, prompting him to mock the guard's clothes. Stepping up angry, he swears revenge for the beatdown he took in front of the rich folks. The dude even has the nerve to threaten him with the 100 meatheads Melon hired. Thinking for a second, our hero worries about the safety of his partner Han Yan. With zero fear, he tells the rich kid to call his goons down to the parking lot. The rival agrees on the spot, calling the gang and daring the MC to come down if he's a real man. Riding the elevator down, the vibe gets heavy in the dark and empty parking garage. Out of nowhere, the crazy guy runs off and smashes every single security camera in the place. He turns around panting, thinking it's awesome he's gonna finish the hero off camera. But the irony hits fast, having no evidence works perfectly for both sides. Realizing his massive blunder, the coward stutters and panics seeing the combat stance. No words spoken, just a rain of punches to the face, making the spoiled brat scream in pain with zero defense. Getting treated like a punching bag, he listens to the MC mock his pure stupidity. Suddenly, a voice echoes through the garage, ordering him to drop the playboy right now. The backup finally arrives, led by the redhead, looking dead serious. Closing in, the thugs get ready to body their target. In the blink of an eye, Ye Chen flies at the first guy and lands a devastating punch. Smoothly, he plants his boot right in the second guy's face and kicks the trash away. He quickly calculates that these mercenaries aren't your average amateurs. Trying to recruit the kid, the redhead promises to forgive him if he becomes his servant. That offends our hero, who just drops a dry "you're not worthy." Backing away, the villain calls his boss, demanding 10 more men ASAP. Boss Liu finds the whole thing fascinating and decides to check out this genius in person. After 15 minutes, the mafia convoy invades the parking lot, burning rubber. Stepping out of the ride, the big boss arrives, bringing joy to the injured henchmen. He immediately demands 100 fighters to wash away the shame they suffered. Yet Liu wears a dark expression and calls him pure trash. Blood in his eyes, the boss looks ahead and sees Ye Chen knocking out the last guy. Feeling pretty drained, our boy knows another dozen enemies will complicate things. His tactic is simple and reckless. Focus straight on the leader to end the circus. Yelling from the back, the spoiled kid tells the hero to beg for his life to the big boss. No one saw that coming. Boss Liu freezes, pale as a ghost, staring at the hero. Missing the cue, the playboy screams, demanding Ye Chen's head on a silver platter. And just like that, everything changed. Liu turns around and decks the preppy kid. Spitting blood, the rich boy tries to process what kind of madness just happened. The shadow kingpin drops to his knees, bowing down and calling him young master. He reveals right away he's Fang's subordinate, remembering that blessed photo. Our MC pieces it all together, while the old man begs for his own end as divine punishment. Completely lost, the red-haired goon warns that he's just a deadbeat husband, and there must be a mistake. The boss's response is classic, throwing more insults, ordering him to crawl and beg for mercy. Showing no mercy, he forces the lunatic's head onto the asphalt and demands 100 slams into the ground. Everyone is left speechless when even Melon buries his face down, begging for his own life. In utter shock, the playboy doesn't get how his target became his thug's boss. Our MC cuts the drama and demands the truth about the watch gets told to the family. Agreeing on the spot, Melon promises to expose the whole setup, to the rich kid's despair. Then, Boss Liu uncovers the beef, grabs the brat by the hair, and orders him tossed into the river. Bawling his eyes out, the coward clings to our hero's leg, begging for mercy. He kicks the trash away, remembering with disgust how the guy tried to sell out his own cousins. With a solid kick, the kid calls the lunatic an animal for having zero morals. But the beatdown ends there, and the protagonist orders the goons to let the crybaby go for now. The final warning is clear. He has to confess every detail of the scam to the family. Shaking with fear, the preppy guy agrees through tears and runs out of there fast. This is where it gets good. The kingpin swears loyalty and offers 100 fighters to our MC. Our protagonist dismisses the squad for now, but notes they could be handy later. Meanwhile, the camera cuts back to the luxurious Jishan villa. Showing up all beat up, the playboy lies through his teeth about crashing his car alone. Even so, he confesses to the watch setup and warns it's better not to mess with the MC. The toxic old lady ignores the warning, thinking her ex-son-in-law stole someone else's money. Soon she demands if he met the president, and the preppy guy just nods quietly. The lady gets mad about having to go there personally to beg for attention. At this point, the ex-wife steps in and says she can close the deal since she knows the project. Her cousin immediately mocks her, calling the girl delusional for thinking she's so important. Surprising everyone, the matriarch approves the idea and tells her granddaughter to try her luck. The focus is to close the contract no matter what, even if the old lady has to go there herself. Hours later, the preppy girl arrives at the fancy building asking for the big boss. Politely, the secretary tells her to wait a bit in the lobby, since the boss is busy. The girl notices they served her honey water to drink. This brings back a strong memory since our hero did exactly that every morning. In the VIP room, the vibe is pure work. The MC's partner warns that his ex-wife is waiting outside. Curious, she asks if he's really gonna show his face for this visit. He thinks for a bit and decides to release the cash right away to end this boring drama. With a wave, he asks the secretary for the contract, who obeys super fast. Right away, he throws the door wide open and comes face to face with the snob. The woman freezes instantly, while our boy remembers how cute she used to look like that. She thinks the president bounced and calls her ex over to chat. But the MC is ice cold, cutting the conversation short and saying they have nothing to talk about. Getting straight to the point, he throws the contract on the table and warns the money drops in a week. The delusional girl opens the paper thinking the company owner already approved it without reading. And just like that, everything changed. She reads the document and turns pale as a sheet. The super fancy project title carries her exact name. Shaking all over, she stutters, asking the reason for that wild tribute. Calmly, he reminds her that he made up that name back when they were still planning their future. In a quick flashback, we see the hero acting all goofy, dedicating the work to his girl. Ye Chen confesses he was gonna fund that out of his own pocket just to make her dream come true. Back then, the girl almost cried tears of joy over such a special gift. Today, the story is different. He mocks her, saying he didn't change the name to avoid bad luck. Blinded by pride, the ex accuses the kid of begging the president to accept the name. With that, the crazy girl grabs our protagonist's hand with all her strength. Staring deep into his soul, she drops a big "thank you." The lunatic swears the boss just liked the pronunciation and demands her ex admit he still loves her. Out of patience, he cuts the act short and tells her to hurry up and sign the paperwork. Left with no choice, the preppy girl signs it all, dreaming of becoming her grandma's favorite. Right after, she stamps it officially to validate the $1 million deal. Our MC quickly grabs his copy to keep, but the girl asks him not to run away just yet. Trying to act cute, she asks him out to lunch at that humble spot he used to like. But the rejection is brutal. He turns her down and proves she even got the name of their restaurant wrong. Furious, the snob yells that she was already way too nice for visiting that dump. Keeping her cool, she announces she's going somewhere fancy with the rival playboy and dips out. Man, at that moment she runs straight into a human wall trying to leave. The gorgeous Hong Yan is standing right there and drops a super professional greeting. Caught off guard, our boy's ex drops her ego and stutters a President Kin. On the inside, the executive laughs at the girl's stupidity for using a rival to make him jealous. Looking closely, she notices a hint of sadness in our MC's eyes because of his ex. With a sly tone, the executive reminds her that annoying the boss could cancel the $1 million contract. Our hero shuts the topic down, stating that he doesn't go back on his word. Smirking slightly, his partner confesses she wants to try that humble food. Ye Chen agrees to the trip, and the executive gets super happy about it. He tries to warn her that a simple place like that isn't really her style, but the woman gives a lesson in humility, saying she's no little princess and even eats cheap meals. The protagonist smiles, knowing she worked her butt off to build her career. Out of nowhere, she makes her move and lovingly grabs our MC's arm. Acting all cute, the girl makes up an excuse that the floor is uneven and she's scared of tripping in heels. Without a second thought, he tells her to hold on tight and guides the executive into the little shop. Walking together, the sadness hits him, remembering how many times he tried doing this with his ex. It's tense. He keeps thinking about how his former wife only cares about snobby rich kids now. Han Yan catches the heavy vibe and bluntly asks why he got so depressed all of a sudden. Playing it cool, the hero asks to be called just by his first name outside the company. Insistent, she doesn't buy the lie and wants to know the real reason for that frown. Deep down, the guy is imagining his ex right now having fun with that playboy. A wave of rage crosses his mind, even thinking about sending the mafia to body his enemy. Meanwhile, at a downtown restaurant, the ex-wife invites her friend over to gossip. Acting mysterious, Ji Allen tells the girl to check out a super important document she brought. Her friend is blown away by the $1 million paper, shocked by the tribute in the project title. Right off the bat, she asks if she had to sleep with the tycoon for this. Firing back without pity, she reminds the girl how she was sneaking into hotels with the rival playboy for cash. Offended by the truth, the snob curses loudly and tries to snatch the contract back. Her pride speaks loud, and she swears it was all an act to win her family's respect. Looking at the paper, she confesses a drop of pity for the hero and didn't want this ugly divorce. To clear her name, she swears she did it all for the family and that her ex only criticized without helping. Super sarcastic, the coworker pretends to believe her friend's pure intentions just to calm her down. Soon curiosity strikes, and the snob promises that it was her ex who begged for that name. Hongye is stunned by this, realizing the bodyguard must be madly in love with her. With her ego through the roof, the preppy girl agrees, thinking she's the prettiest woman in town. The toxic advice comes instantly: marry the rich kid and use his money without mercy. Afterwards, start a war against her own family to pocket a $1 million inheritance. In case she can't stand the preppy guy, just divorce him rich and enjoy life as a millionaire. Excited, the snake just asks for a piece of that pie, and the scammer seals the alliance right away. Smiling, they toast to their future success while plotting to backstab everyone. Over at the rich mansion, the elderly matriarch is a bundle of nerves waiting for results. The cousin complains about the surprise meeting, but her dad warns it's a moment of truth. And no one saw that coming. The girl walks in, kicking the door open and throwing the contract on the table. The couple is shocked and can't believe their ears. Dropping their jaws at the news, the relatives watch the jealous cousin snatch the contract to see it with her own eyes. But reading her name at the top, she bursts out laughing and calls it all fake. This annoys the uncle, who accuses the girl of narcissism for forging the title. Calling the company right away, he demands answers to expose the scam. Man, right then, the company confirms the signature, shutting the jealous girl up. Soon enough, the matriarch validates the document and congratulates her granddaughter's success. Yuan freaks out and demands to know what dirty trick she used on the big boss. Slamming the table, the snob accuses the divorcee of lacking class for the tycoon. Without listening to a word, she storms out furious, leaving the old lady screaming her name. The ex-wife defends herself on the spot, swearing she closed the deal honestly. And here comes the harsh truth. The grandma names the uncle as director, demoting the granddaughter. She objects right away, reminding them she signed the paper and named the project. Takes a shove right after. The uncle curses the rookie for trying to step over him. Coldly, the lady tells her to keep her head down and learn from her elders. Swallowing her tears, the girl just nods in silence. But deep down, she swears to get strong so she never gets robbed like this again. In another corner, the toxic cousin foams at the mouth over the divorcee's audacity. Working out hard, she swears her perfect figure won't lose to her rival. This makes her hatch a plan to keep her cousin away from her supposed future husband. The idea is pure genius, setting up a new marriage for our hero's ex. Pulls out her phone and gets the contact for the rival playboy, the famous Feng Chao. Over at the bar, the preppy guy's phone rings all of a sudden. Feng Chao answers immediately, super hyped to talk to the gorgeous girl from the Wang family. She says she needs to chat urgently. And what do you know, she drops the bomb. Tells him about the contract and the rumors with the tycoon. He freezes on the spot, knowing he has no way to compete with the Huashen Group owner. To add fuel to the fire, the snake tells him to propose to the girl before he loses her. The rich kid hesitates because of the recent divorce, but her pressure works. Remembering the past marriage was a sham, he promises to think seriously about it. That beef at the hotel with our MC is still stuck in his throat. Determined not to miss the chance, he accepts the cousin's help to make his final move. Later on, the jerk parks his Porsche, blocking the vice president's car. Hongyan steps out annoyed, wanting to know what the clown show is this time. But the playboy is direct. He came to get revenge on his beloved's ex-husband. Giving him no respect, she asks what the delusional guy really wants. He wants to fulfill his promise to banish our hero from Yunchang no matter what. The offer is wild, offering to pay 10 times his salary for him to quit. Shocked, the executive tries to process the audacity of that rich kid. Thinking the guy is a nobody, he calculates he'll spend around 2 million. This is too good to pass up, so she decides to call the MC right away. Ye Chen answers the phone, listening closely to the absurd proposal. Laughing, she explains the rival's offer to cover 10 times his salary. This is where it gets good. The kid agrees on the spot and tells her to charge him without mercy. So the gorgeous executive turns around and warns the rival that the bodyguard took the cash. puffs his chest with pride, mocking his rival's poverty and asking for the bill. Handing over the bill, she just waits for the idiot to ask the exact amount to pay. The shock hits hard. The final tab comes out to exactly 67 million on the spot. Yells in shock, claiming not even the company's CEO makes that much in a single year. With total calm, the executive swears the amount is real and she isn't playing around. That shatters the guy's ego, and she even tells him not to promise what he doesn't have. Feng Chao gets in the car foaming with rage, swearing she'll regret her choice. Before speeding off, he mocks that he's going to propose to Jialin real soon. Peeling out of there, he tells them to train her ex well so he doesn't embarrass himself at the wedding. But the beauty just smiles, knowing this fool is going to bankrupt his own family soon. Deep down, she kinda hopes the wedding happens, clearing the path with the hero. The focus shifts back to the president's office at the Huasheng Group. Confused, a humble restaurant owner tries to understand why the big boss called him in. Being super direct, Yichen wants to buy his chain to crush the competition. The owner loves the plan and asks for 60 million, promising to help destroy the enemy. Seals the deal in the blink of an eye without even haggling. This is the perfect revenge for the humiliation he suffered at the old lady's banquet. Days later, the folks on Pengle Street notice a stylish new sign. The crowd loves the name Cloud in the Clouds and thinks it belongs to the famous chef Zhong Wei. Across the street, the real Zhong Wei punches his own table in pure hatred. He foams at the mouth, feeling the direct insult from the mysterious new neighbor. Soon, he finds out the spot was sold in a rush to some unknown big shot. Laughing mockingly, the arrogant cook swears to bankrupt this rookie in weeks. Orders his guys to watch the competition closely so he can pull a dirty trick. He then walks back to the dining room, instructing the staff to prep everything to the highest standard for a super important proposal ceremony. An engagement ring is ready to be handed over. Feng Xiao holds tightly to the little box with the Tiffany diamond. The girl warns him she's swamped with work and doesn't want anything over the top right now. But the playboy talks his way around it, saying the fancy spot is right nearby. Arriving there, the ex immediately notices the flawless front of the new Cloud in the Clouds. Her jaw drops at the luxury, and she wants to check out the rival spot. Quickly, the rich boy changes plans to play Kang at the place she picked. Gossip fills the air inside as everyone gets curious about the scene on the balcony. With balloons and petals dropping, the crowd realizes it's a rich guy's marriage proposal. Watching the bride-to-be, the folks are blown away by the preppy girl's beauty. This sparks some chatter, with guys drooling over the kind of woman only a millionaire can score. Then a mysterious hand pulls the handle of the front door. Ye Chen shows up annoyed, seeing his enemy using his turf without permission, and he immediately orders them to clean up the romantic mess and take his microphone. The scene focuses on the preppy guy on his knee, delivering his best love speech. Stuttering in confusion, he doesn't get why the audio cuts out right in the middle of his charm. Right away, the cleaning crew steps in, killing the mood and popping all the balloons. Confused as the party deflates in seconds, the coward has no clue what's going on. Yelling at the top of his lungs, he demands to know why they swept up the petals from his confession. Customers burst out laughing, watching the live humiliation of the broke preppy boy. This whole mess takes a weight off the ex's shoulders, sighing in relief deep down. Losing his mind completely, he pulls the "Do you know who I am" card and orders the owner to show up now. But his Fang family heir act doesn't scare a single soul in there. Our MC walks down the steps, telling the guy to shut his mouth or get out. Clashing head-on with the bodyguard, he demands respect and the local boss. With a neutral face, the hero reveals that the fancy restaurant belongs to him. No one saw that coming. The two of them drop their jaws in pure shock. Zhong Wei crashes the scene, yelling it's a scam and that the MC has no cash. The rival doubts the millions, but Yi Chen just tells the cleaning lady to handle it. Without holding back, the older lady just beats the lunatic with her broom. Covered in dirt, he curses the woman, but she couldn't care less and says she only takes orders from the boss. Hearing this, the rival thinks our boy ruined the party purely out of jealousy over his ex. He just turns his head and warns that the divorce is final, so he doesn't care at all. The message is crystal clear. Inside that restaurant, without his permission, nothing happens. Laughing it off, the preppy kid doubts the hero's cash and bets the executive is the real owner. But the beauty quickly steps in, stating she only holds a minor share and the kid is the real boss there. Feng Xiao scoffs, figuring the MC only holds 1%, and whips out his engagement ring. Showing off the fancy box, he leaves all the ladies in the back wide-eyed. The jewel costs 4 million, something a bodyguard could never buy in his entire life. With zero hesitation, the playboy drops to one knee and pops the big question to the snob. Watching everything unfold, the hero's partner realizes this is pure provocation. Deep down, she roots for a yes, since that clears her path straight to the MC's heart. Ye Chen just stares at his ex, curious to hear her answer. Super awkward with her ex standing there, the preppy girl asks for some time to think. The rich kid takes it well, knowing the prettiest woman in town plays hard to get. Even so, he leaves the ultra-expensive box in her hands as a guarantee. Holding the jewel, she mentally trashes her ex for never giving her anything like that. Full of attitude, she declares that arguing with a broke son-in-law is a waste of time. And that's where it gets crazy. The MC throws in her face that he would have given her a 21-carat ring if she hadn't cheated. That line makes her remember an old promise he made after they watched a movie together. Gripping the rich kid's box tight, rage goes straight to the woman's head. Furious, the snob walks away, calling the hero a cheap liar. After that, the partner points out the ex didn't say no and will probably accept the proposal soon. Asking out of nowhere, she wonders if the boss plans to reveal his massive wealth on the wedding day. He takes a calm sip of his tea and lets her know she's only half right. The idea is to show his true power right when the ex thinks she hit the jackpot. In his mind, the bride goes into shock while the rival panics at the altar. This makes the beauty realize he wants to humiliate his ex to end things for good. Knowing there's no turning back for the ex, she chills out just as someone walks into the room. Soon enough, a worker reports that the event's microphone got sabotaged on purpose. If the MC wasn't sharp, it would have been a disaster, proving his cracked reflexes. Right then, the guards drag the culprit inside, who screams, playing the fool. Straight to the point, Ye Chen asks flat out if his rival Zhang Wei sent him. The scumbag denies everything, but his fearful look gives the lie away instantly. Demanding his phone, the hero gets challenged by the cocky little thug. With a cold stare, the kid warns that he's begging for a beatdown. But the partner steps in, wanting to settle the beef, surprising her boss. She steps up to the thug, who shamelessly stares at her from head to toe. Acting way too bold, he drops a disrespectful comment about her looks. Out of patience, she twists his arm on the table, fishing for the phone in the crook's pocket. Ignoring his screams, the executive forces the lunatic's finger to unlock the device. Device unlocked, she tosses the phone straight into our protagonist's hands. Catching the phone midair, Ye Chen tells her to watch out for the thug. The guy gets up, threatening the woman for stealing his hard evidence. Except she's built different. With a precise strike, she sends the trash straight to the floor. Twisting the guy's arm, she apologizes to her boss for the whole mess. The little secretary runs over and hugs her, calling President Qin a protective badass. Spitting more insults, the coward throws cheap threats her way. With her heel pinned to his chest, the beauty declares he isn't even worthy of a fight. Glancing at the hero, she hints that only strong men can keep up with her pace. The MC coughs to break the tension and focuses on Zhang Wei's incriminating messages. Wasting no time, he decides to call the rival boss right on the spot. Meanwhile, the executive figures the hero still has a soft spot for preppy girls, but she knows it's only a matter of time before he notices the charm of a mature partner. Far from there, the enemy answers the call, thinking it's just his henchman. Stuttering, he hears our boy's cold voice on the other end of the line. Confused, the rival demands to know who he's talking to and where his lackey is. Ye Chen just brings up his promise to bankrupt all his businesses in Yuncheng. It clicks instantly. The rich guy mocks the broke ex-husband and asks what he wants. Flipping the script, the hero warns that he's the one demanding answers for the attack. Clueless, the enemy can't figure out how a nobody became an empire owner out of nowhere. Even though he's scared, he acts tough, swearing the kid will never beat his mob. Smiling, the kid warns that since his rival plays dirty, he's gonna do 1,000 times worse. Cut to 20 minutes later, right in front of the enemy's famous restaurant. The badass Master Lu pulls up to the spot with all his worst goons gathered together. And the boss's order is simple: cause pure terror in the place, just like they agreed. Inside, the target of the plan celebrates the full house of tourists and focuses on the profit. Suddenly, a waiter shows up, screaming that customers are drooling and passing out. Seeing the dining room look like a zombie movie, the owner goes into pure panic mode. Outside, the partner and the hero try to understand the chaos unfolding on the street. Sirens blare non-stop. The rumor is mass food poisoning ruining the tourist trip. Cold as ice, Ye Chen declares the complete downfall of the rival restaurant. Crying his eyes out, the competitor knows his business's reputation just turned to dust. With the path cleared, our hero builds an empire and crushes everyone who ever mocked him. 2 weeks go by and the Wang family holds another one of their usual meetings. Complaining bitterly, the old lady mourns the fall of the city's tycoon who mysteriously went broke. The uncle even laughs at the story of the broke rival blaming Ye Chen for his financial ruin. Chipping in, the toxic cousin mentions that the playboy has already tried proposing 9 times. To add pressure, the older lady warns that his dad is getting super annoyed with all these rejections. Left with no choice, the preppy girl promises to accept the $1 million proposal at the next day's concert. Everyone cheers with joy, toasting as if they were already rich with the groom's cash. Noticing an empty chair, the cousin asks where her trash of a brother is. Outside, Xiaojie calls the hero, spilling all the tea about the upcoming engagement. Terrified of the MC, he insults his cousin and offers to boycott the event. But the boy calls off the sabotage, leaving the preppy guy completely confused. The hero warns that the engaged playboy's fate is going to be 1,000 times worse. To kiss up, the guy swears the ex has been staying home and behaving perfectly. Ye Chen just shrugs, guaranteeing he doesn't care if she's with the preppy kid or not. Trying to be slick, that idiot Xiaoji figures the hero is still jealous over her. Surprised by the audacity, the protagonist tells him to just say what's on his mind. Then the clueless guy actually offers up his own little sister, hyping up her looks. Disgusted beyond belief, the MC tells the trash to shut his mouth and hangs up on him. Taking a deep breath, he tries to shake that weird conversation out of his head. Suddenly, his phone pings with personal photos the creep stole from his own sister. Crossing all lines, the message still tries to sell the girl as the perfect wife. Ye Chen doesn't think twice and blocks that lunatic forever. He leans back in his chair, realizing the two rivals' wedding is practically locked in. Fast forward to concert day. The stadium is packed and the vibe is pure hype. Up on stage, the famous singer announces a break for his super romantic fan proposal. Mic in hand, Fang Chao makes his final move and demands the preppy girl's hand in marriage. On his knee, the rich kid shows off the ring and pops the highly anticipated question on stage. The crowd goes wild over the romantic scene and the size of that rock. Smiling from ear to ear, Jiolin holds the fancy box and says the big yes. Right then, Hung Yan stands up in the stands, realizing his past is finally over. With a smirk on her face, the beauty decides she's the one who's going to win the boss's heart. Arriving at a massive mansion under a heavy storm, Ye Chen opens the door and welcomes his business partner. Soaking wet, she apologizes for being late and blames the concert traffic. Our hero hands the girl a towel to dry off on the couch. Chatting away, she drops the bomb that the rival proposed to his ex. And just like that, everything changed. His expression instantly goes dark, staring at the ring. He decides to destroy the Fang family before the wedding. Curious, he asks the executive to explain how the enemy's clan operates. She reveals the groom's dad tanked their 10 billion hotel chain down to 3. Wasting no time, the kid grabs his phone while listening to the details. The beauty mentions some guy named Chris who saved them, and the MC already greets him on the line. On the other end, the foreign tycoon congratulates our hero for passing the test. Getting straight to the point, he asks about the Fang family's hotel crisis. The foreigner mentions the owner begged for help and asks if the kid wants to save them. But the order is clear, he wants help to sink his rival for good. Chris agrees right away, guaranteeing full support to the future boss, and hangs up. Man, at that moment, the woman drops her jaw at so much power. Smirking, the MC points out that the pieces are already moving on the board. That leaves the executive even more impressed with his speed. Far from there, a shadow boss gives orders to his goons. All the meatheads shout, confirming they're ready for the mission. The command is to hit the rivals' hotels and fake multiple scandals in the rooms. Filming the whole mess is a must to ruin the business's reputation forever. Back in the living room, the girl resumes her explanation about the spoiled rich kid, stating that the playboy just burns cash, while his brother will inherit the company. However, the real danger comes from someone else in that house. That woman is the groom's powerful mother, named Lu Rusi, a lady who hails from one of the most dangerous clans in Tianhai. Warning the hero, she tells him to be super careful with this ultimate snob. Our boy looks at the photo and mocks that the rival didn't inherit his mom's looks. Laughing, she confirms the husband used a dirty trick to marry the powerful woman. None of this scares the MC, who thinks this family is way too weak. Fast forward a week into the plan. Fang Xiao freaks out with rage inside his car. Screaming his lungs out, he complains that all his companies are going bankrupt out of nowhere. Desperate, he begs his dad for another 100 million. The old man denies it, saying the foreign tycoon ordered a hotel expansion. Furious, the dad tells his son to shut his mouth and follow the foreigner's plan. This terrifies the preppy kid, knowing billions could go down the drain. Out of patience, the older guy releases 500 million, ends the chat. Soon enough, the rich kid jumps for joy and swears to multiply the cash. Jilin asks the reason for all that celebration right there in traffic. Acting all high and mighty, he brags about the massive payout his dad just gave them. He even takes a chance to humiliate her ex, calling the guy a poor loser. Since they already signed the papers, he demands to be called husband. She swallows hard and obeys, but remembers calling the hero that for 3 years. Hiding it with a smile, she asks for a ride to the office. The playboy agrees and asks if she invited Yi-chen, but the snob thinks it's unnecessary. With an evil smirk, he decides to bring an extra invite just to provoke our hero. Scribbling on the paper, the villain writes insults, dying to see the kid cry on the wedding day. Right then, he asks his bride to sleep at his place, using stress as an excuse. Yalin shuts that down instantly, bringing up that her grandma forbade anything before the party. Huffing with anger, the guy mutters that to this day he's only held the preppy girl's hand. Driving there, the girl thinks to herself and mentally begs our MC for forgiveness. To her, the hero was left behind, and it's all because of his broke lifestyle. Over at the company, the executive greets the preppy girl by calling her Mrs. Fang. The ex thanks her for the compliments and hands over the invite, demanding the bosses show up. And the date is already set for a week from now, exactly on May 12th. Curious, Hongyan immediately notices that's the exact same day as Ye Chen's birthday. This spooks the snob, but the beauty lies and says it's her dad's birth date too. Pushing her against the wall, the partner asks if she didn't think it was too cruel to do that. The answer is that the groom demanded that date just to ruin the hero's birthday. Dodging the topic, the preppy girl asks if she can see the building owner right now. Hongyan lets her in smoothly, dying to see the girl's face when she finds out the truth. Shortly after, she knocks on the heavy door and hears someone telling her to come in. No one saw that coming. The reality check hits her like a truck. From the back, the figure of the big boss looks way too familiar to the girl. Spinning his chair, he reveals his face, making the girl stutter, asking for the so-called president. Our protagonist ignores the blunder, watching his ex hand over the papers, asking him to pass them along. Ye Chen reads the ridiculous message inviting the president to the event on May 12th. Super awkward, she confesses that her wedding with the rich kid landed right on his birthday. Seeing the hatred in the kid's eyes, the coward quickly blames her family for the date. With a cold smile, the boy warns that this provocation is going to cost him big time. Completely nervous, she slides the extra invite over to him and he finds the whole thing pathetic. Reading the enemy's mockery, the MC just asks who had the guts to write it. Keeping his cool, he sarcastically congratulates her and tells the woman to get lost. Then she grabs his arm, begging him not to go and embarrass himself at the venue. The delusional girl thinks he's gonna get drunk crying over love and cause a scene in front of everyone. Yanking his arm back, he guarantees he'll show up just because the groom insisted so much. He turns his back with no mercy, and the preppy girl feels a weird chill in her heart. Walking out of the company, the girl leaves with a completely lost look in her eyes. Inside, the executive points out how the rival is digging his own grave with this party. Cold as ice, the boss orders his birthday date to be leaked to all the tycoons. The beauty happily agrees, already planning an epic party to steal the boy's heart. On the wedding day, a scream of pure hatred shatters the silence in the rich kid's house. Dressed as a groom, he freaks out on the phone, finding out his game got banned from the market. This is where it gets good. Over 12 of his companies went bankrupt out of nowhere in the same week. Sweating bullets, the idiot watches his 500 million fortune go down the drain. One of the groomsmen even suspects pure sabotage, since this bad luck is way too unreal. But the playboy brushes off the idea, figuring our hero doesn't have that kind of cracked power. Soon enough, they blame some jealous old tycoon who wanted to marry the city's preppy girl. Annoyed, the rival mutters that the hero's ex only brings bad luck and ridiculous losses. Trying to lighten the mood, his buddy reminds him that his dad is loaded and will cover the damage. Plus, he's gonna have a gorgeous bride in bed, which brings back the preppy kid's ego. Only one thing goes wrong. He calls his woman, and she hangs up on his face with zero mercy. He insists, until she picks up and says she's trying on her wedding dress. With a goofy laugh, he makes a snarky comment that leaves her fuming. Yaelin hangs up on him, and her friend immediately asks what happened. Complaining about his attitude, she admits she only agreed for the cash and her ex was better. Now wearing the veil, she confesses her fear of losing her chance with our boy forever. Looking in the mirror, the friend tells her to check out the fit. The girl praises her face, saying no guy can resist that kind of beauty. She claims the MC will be their lifetime backup plan. Meanwhile, over at the Fang Mansion, Xianju's wife decides to confront him. Warning him right away, she says his plans are risky and that Paul guy can't be trusted. But the guy defends himself, claiming he hasn't used a single dime from her family. Yelling in anger, he rejects the help and vows to win it all on his own. The wife tries to calm her husband down, reminding him today is their son's wedding. Right then, she asks him to stop their kid from humiliating the bride's ex. Xianzu reveals that the big boss of the Huasheng group confirmed he's coming to the event. Fine by her, she promises to treat this so-called president with the utmost respect. Miles away from there, a red ride pulls up in front of a massive mansion. Hongyan lets her boy know the time has finally come. Stepping out of the car in a white suit, our protagonist is ready to reveal himself to the city. She just smiles, dying to see the panic on his ex's face. An hour later, the fancy hotel is already packed with VIPs. Taking it all in, Jialin is shocked by the tier of guests the Fang family pulled. And wouldn't you know it, even President Ma shows up, driving her friend crazy. Everyone starts gossiping, since this guy is the richest man in the whole country. Rushing over to greet him, the groom's dad can't believe such an honor. Ma explains he came to give his blessing and meet the new boss in town. Blown away, Xianzu offers the best seat and runs off to call the VIP guest. The billionaire says thanks, while Jialin's friend drools over the so-called president. Holding her bouquet, the bride wonders who the perfect woman for this tycoon would be. But looking at her groom, she gives up on dreaming about something so out of touch. Right then, the dad answers his phone and excitedly runs to the hall's entrance. Calling for his son, he announces the guests of honor just arrived. Among the crowd, the rumor is that President Yi bankrupts companies just for fun. The cousin tells her grandma they need to rush over and meet this mysterious guy. Outside, a white sports car pulls up flying down the street. As the door opens, Hong Yan steps out and everyone recognizes her instantly. The crowd already starts betting that the man behind her is President Ye. Once inside, Hong Yan introduces the man by her side to the host of the party. Stepping into the light, the focus shifts to the details of his suit and the mysterious guy's posture. And that's where it gets crazy. Our boy is revealed, leaving everybody's jaws on the floor. She announces out loud that he is the big boss of the Huasheng group. Hearing that name, Jielin goes into shock and drops her bouquet on the floor. That friend is left speechless, having no clue how her ex became this tycoon. Way too hyped, Xianzu runs over to shake our protagonist's hand. His wife comments that she never imagined the president would be so handsome. Ye Chen returns the compliment and the husband gets all giddy over his manners. Blushing hard, she says thanks and doesn't get why she's so nervous. Suddenly, the groom ruins the vibe by screaming that the MC is just a fraud. But the billionaire ignores the kid and rushes over to greet our boy. Our MC questions his friendship with the Fangs, and he denies it on the spot. The tycoon reveals that our MC's grandpa is his biggest idol, leaving Jialin in total shock. Asking for his phone number, the richest man in the country gets a yes from our boy right away. Everyone's jaw drops seeing the most powerful guy fanboying over a young kid. Shortly after, Ma claims he has a meeting and leaves, ignoring the groom's dad begging him to stay. As soon as he steps out, some guy comes running in desperate, screaming the MC's name. Throwing himself on the floor, he starts begging for mercy, looking like a pure lunatic. Fang Chao recognizes the guy as Ma Kun and doesn't get why he's humiliating himself so much. Crying out, Ma Kun explains he lost his entire business just because he had the nerve to offend the MC. He says he only needs our boy's forgiveness to not lose everything while bawling his eyes out. And just like that, everything changed. He points at the ex's family, saying they pushed him to do it. Desperate, he screams that his ruin started the day he attacked our MC at the banquet. Right then, several other guys come running in, and the groom's dad realizes they're in deep trouble. Following right behind, Boss Jung shows up looking wrecked and drops to his knees begging for a chance. The guy starts slapping himself, blaming the Wang family for putting him in this trap. Fang Chao freezes up, finally getting that our MC is the real owner of the Huasheng group. A guest bursts out laughing, telling everyone to look up the real president's photo online. Then, the groom and Jialin check their phones at the same time and turn pale as a ghost at what they see. Losing his mind completely, the groom starts screaming that this has to be some awful nightmare. The old lady fakes fainting just to escape the sheer embarrassment of that heavy vibe. Whispering to the others, the dad says the plan is to run before our boy decides to take revenge. His wife gets furious seeing her own husband bailing and leaving her behind. With no clue what to do, Jialin looks at her dad searching for a way out that doesn't exist anymore. Suddenly, Right and Wan walks up to our MC and he recognizes her on the spot. She declares she always loved him and that he protected her for 3 years, disgusting Hongyan. Hongyan steps in front of him and tells the girl to drop the act, kicking off an ugly argument. Our boy reminds her he was her brother-in-law, but the crazy girl says the marriage was supposed to be theirs. Hearing this, our MC gets completely confused since this story makes zero sense. Out of patience, he orders them to drag the girl out while she keeps screaming she loves him. Watching the scene unfold, the groom's mom fears the MC came to destroy the wedding. She freezes just thinking he might want revenge for them stealing his wife. The woman gathers her courage and asks if he's there because of Jialin. With a spark in her eyes, the bride gets ready to run away with him, thinking he came back for her. But our boy turns his back and makes it clear she's in the past and means absolutely nothing now. Meanwhile, the Wang family dad orders the driver to fly straight to the hospital. Faking it no more, the grandma, miraculously, wakes up letting out a scream that startles everyone in the ride. In tears, the matriarch regrets kicking out the only man who could save their family. Back at the party, the groom's mom slaps her son in the face and orders him to apologize. Holding his face, he realizes the tables have turned and he's the one who got clowned. The groom's dad tries to play nice, but the MC and Hongyan just completely ignore the guy. Feeling like pure trash, Fang Chao grits his teeth, holding on to the pure hatred he feels for her ex. Already seated, the dad orders his son to pour a drink for President Ye as a sign of respect, but the groom refuses, thinking his reputation in the city would go down the drain if he did that. Right then, an absurd idea pops into his head about where the MC's wealth really came from. He figures it's all an act and our boy paid Hongyan to pretend he's the boss. The lunatic starts thinking even the billionaire was just a lookalike. Fully buying into his own my, Fang Chao starts laughing out loud right in the middle of the hall. Pointing his finger, the groom screams that the MC is a fraud and it's all just a show. His mom explodes with rage, asking if he went blind to what President Ma just did. However, he insists the tycoon's face looked different from what shows up in the papers. Hearing this, the guests start to doubt, and the rumor about the scam spreads like wildfire. Hongyan calls him an idiot, asking if he thinks someone can fake being a billionaire. Annoyed, Ma Kun and Zhang Wei scream at the groom to stop talking trash before he digs his own grave. The groom calls them both worthless and orders the guards to throw the guys out of the hall. While they're being dragged out begging, Jialin starts wondering if the MC is actually faking it or not. She prays it's just a joke, because if he is the president, her divorce becomes the biggest mistake of her life. With an ironic smirk, our boy says he's faking it, just to avoid wasting time with idiots. Relieved, Jialin's mom says she knew it all along, while her dad almost has a heart attack. Furious, he pulls his wife's hair for believing that fake story. He asks if she wants to ruin their family, and she just stands there totally confused. The man warns that if she provokes our MC again, the divorce is happening on the spot. Shocked by the threat, the woman freezes and can't even say his name. Trying to cool things down, Xianzu asks everyone to sit down since the ceremony is about to start. Hongyan watches everything and tells our boy that these people seriously lack intelligence. He notices that, besides the two clueless women, the rest of the family's already figured out who he really is. She's about to say something about the other guests but gets interrupted. Our boy touches her lips and reminds her that today, by pure chance, is his birthday. Hongyan loses her breath and gets butterflies in her stomach from being so close. Getting her focus back, she raises her glass and wishes a happy birthday to He Yi Chen. Suddenly, she points out that another group of big shots just arrived at the hotel. The groom's dad looks at the door and spots the famous President Wang at the entrance. The CEO of Jududuo greets Xianzu, surprised the guy has such a good memory. All hyped up, the host calls his son and the bride to thank the billionaire for the gift. Except President Wang kills the bride instantly, stating the gift isn't for the groom. Confused, Yanzu asks what's going on, and the man explains the present belongs to someone else. Feng Chao asks if he's holding a cigar case, and the man compliments the kid's sharp eyes. He opens the box of ultra-expensive cigars and apologizes for his English being a bit rusty. Feng Chao almost falls over seeing those cigars are worth over 7 million. The CEO mentions the value is around there and excuses himself to step past the couple. Ignoring everyone, he walks straight over to talk to our MC and Hongyan. The man opens the luxury box and loudly wishes our boy a happy birthday. The Fang family freezes seeing $1 million gift go straight into the MC's hands. Gossip spreads fast, and the guests realize the billionaire gave the groom spare change in comparison. Man, at that moment it becomes obvious his focus is the MC, and the two shake hands. Jialin panics, knowing a guy of that level would never respect a fake. Far from there, a couple at another table complains about the noise coming from the party. Meanwhile, Hung Yan sips her wine, knowing the real show has just begun. A worker reports that dozens of people are trying to get in without an invite. The guy explains their business owners offering 10,000 just to watch the wedding. The groom's parents are totally clueless, thinking the whole situation is beyond weird. Xianzhu decides to let everyone in, figuring it's all for his son's success. Pumping his chest, Fang Zhao tells Jialin this is proof of his family's power. But the bride feels the vibe getting heavy ever since our MC showed up. Right then, the new guests storm the hotel's main hall. They start congratulating the groom's dad, but the mood changes fast. Xiaozi tries to figure out who they are, while his son recognizes their faces. When they start listing their companies, Fan Chao realizes they're all his investments. The groom freaks out and screams that they're the trash that went bankrupt and cost him everything. Zhanzu loses his mind and demands to know how much is left of the 500 million he gave his son. Sweating bullets, the kid admits he lost every single penny of the cash. Furious, the dad slaps his son right in the face in front of everyone. The dad goes off, screaming his heir is useless for burning 500 million like that. Jielin goes into shock, finding out the groom's entire fortune is gone. Holding his face, the groom points at the MC and screams that it's all his fault. At that moment, the broke businessmen look over and recognize President Yi. They all rush our boy, begging for a chance to survive. Watching his family's reputation go down the drain, Xianzhu orders the guards to kick everyone out. The businessmen leave furious, yelling that they paid to get in and got tossed out. Filled with rage, the groom's dad orders their gift money to be doubled and returned. He demands to know what his son did to deserve this, but the MC doesn't even flinch. Our boy warns that for him, dropping a few billion doesn't even make a dent in his wallet. Jielin freezes hearing billions and realizes she traded a genius for a total failure. Xianzhu catches on that the MC is filthy rich and feels the weight of picking a fight with him. But the old man tries to flex, claiming he has dangerous friends in the underworld. He threatens that his brothers are gonna act, but the MC and Hongyan couldn't care less. The groom's mom tries to step in, but her husband ignores her and pulls out his phone to give orders. Out of nowhere, he shoves his own wife hard, and the woman hits the floor. Right then, our MC grabs her hand with crazy reflexes to stop the fall. He helps the woman up and asks if she's okay, leaving her completely flustered. Feng Chao explodes with jealousy and screams, asking what he thinks he's doing. Meanwhile, outside, the dad announces his heavy contacts just arrived. Soon, a group of brutal thugs shows up, led by the feared Master Lu. Xianzhu welcomes the guys all hyped up, thinking he's finally gonna crush our boy. He tries to play nice, but Master Lu and his crew walk right past him like he's nothing. Left hanging, the groom's dad has no idea what's going on and chases after them. The group marches into the hall, leaving a tense vibe in the air. Xianzhu steps up to the MC looking threatening, ready to introduce his friends. But then everything flips. One of the goons shouts out, wishing Brother Chen a happy birthday. Master Lu himself hands over a gift, saying it was sent by the Yi family butler. Clueless, Xianzhu stutters, trying to understand why his allies switched sides. Our boy asks with a smirk if these were the brothers supposed to attack him. He warns he just wants to drink in peace and orders the two to move along right away. And that's where it gets crazy. Master Lu warns that if the MC gets a scratch, the Fang family dies. The guests are mind-blown, seeing President Yi commands even the underworld. At another table, a guest proposes a general toast honoring the MC's birthday. Our boy says thanks, but claims he doesn't want to steal the spotlight from someone else's wedding. Then he announces he's seen enough and now he needs to get back to work. The groom and Jielin realize this whole thing was a calculated and humiliating revenge. She notices the MC turned her into the biggest joke in town, right in front of the elite.